Elder, I think it's better to fight. As you can see, the Son of Light is in the hand of the Dark Emperor in the Dark Cloud Palace. Wait a minute, I'll rush forward to get the Son of Light back. Those who spoke were the 3 elders of Wuxia. Everyone present knows what the Son of Light means to their bright faction. Slow down first, I feel something is wrong. Although the elder brought people here, he always felt as if he had forgotten something. However, I can't remember for a while. During this period of time, because of the disappearance of their patriarch and the problems of the sacred beasts in the temple, they have been very busy. After the return of the Ming Emperor, the secret situation suddenly developed into the Ming War. This war happened too quickly. What else? You see, where is our Son of Light? This time, our biggest goal is to get back the Son of Light. For Elder also can't help hastily agree. At this time, the second elder also said, "Yes, I think we have to fight. After all, the situation is too bad for us to step back. Once we step back, the dark faction will certainly take the opportunity to force us into the bright faction. In that case, our situation will become very passive." Hearing this, the elder who had hesitated could only compromise. In fact, he can't tolerate his intransigence now, but he still thinks that something important has been forgotten. Forget it, I'd better get the Son of Light back first. Good, go to war. A drink, then changed into a sound spread the same sound. All of a sudden, the whole Howren team, just like a chicken's blood, set off a huge momentum. The battle started. On the other side of the dark faction, the battle horn sounded at the same time. For the first time in thousands of years, this frontal battle was launched. In fact, no one can take advantage of each other. Therefore, fighting on the battlefield, death and blood almost dyed the land red. In the elf forest, the elves, who were already in the middle of the 2 factions, gathered in a corner of the forest. The colorful, pretty and beautiful elves were pale when they heard the battle of the 2 factions outside. What to do? What should I do? How can they fight? Yes, what should we do? Our Spirit King is going to shut up again. What should we do now? If these 2 factions can't go to war, the seal will certainly be affected. What should we do? It's all the 4 old men's fault. Why should we shut up with our king at this time? Now we can't hold it down. The 2 factions are already at war. Come to think of something. What shall we do? There are tens of thousands of elves gathered together. They are colorful. They are very striking in the woods. But now among the elves, it's a mess. Without the leader Wang, it was obvious that they were in a panic. Oh, don't quarrel. Let's find a way to suppress the seal first. Otherwise, the seal will be broken soon. If the seal is broken, we elves will be severely punished. Yes, the water elves are right. Let's stop quarreling. Let's think about something first. A whole body red fire spirit repeatedly shout. However, how can one's voice resist the noise of thousands of elves? What's more, now they are all in a state of panic. Now, bang, a shaking sound came. Originally, the sound of chirping stopped in an instant. The sight of all the elves, with panic, looked to the outside world in the direction of the battle. What to do? The war between the 2 factions seems to be more serious than they thought. Fortunately, at this time, an old man's spirit flapped his wings and flew into the air. He said from the air, "Calm down, everyone. Can you listen to me? If Yunwu is here, he will find that this old man is no one else. It's the fairy old man of the first shop in Fangshi where she and Yuzi went back that day." The spirit old man's look was very dignified at this time. And his breath also brought up a trace of pressure. The current situation can be said to have threatened the life and death of our elves. We should all be very clear that our forest is the area where the seal of the demons is sealed, and the spiritual power of the areas on both sides of the light and the dark balances this area. Once the 2 factions mobilize a big wave of human resources to unite and fight, the seal will be broken automatically. That way, our home will disappear. Now it's time to see us. Even if we are not for the common people in the world, we must stop this war for our homeland. The old elf pointed out the advantages and disadvantages directly, by saying that, not only can the older generation understand what they need to do now, but also the younger generation understand the stakes. Once the 2 factions fight again, the seal of the demons will be broken, so that the elves will lose their living place. In fact, the elves are here to guard the sealed land. Once the sealed land is opened, they may be met by extermination. Originally, the elves who were still at a loss seemed to have some order with the old elves. After all, the elves are a pure race, and they for their home can pay any price. Mr. Liu, how do you say we should stop it? After all, the fighting power of our elves is weak. Moreover, I heard that the dark faction has united the orcs. The orcs took part in this war. Yes, I've heard that the Guangming faction has also drawn in the Yuan. Although the Yuan suffer losses on land, the Yuan's sound wave skill is still very frightening. We don't have a strong fighting capacity, nor the sonic wave power of lethality. What can we do to stop the war between the two factions? Yes, we elves have always been a peaceful race. We are asked to stop the war for a while. We really don't know what to do and what we can do. These are the real concerns of the elves. If they have the fighting power of orcs or the lethality of mermaids, they will not panic and become a mess. The old elf frowned deeply, and it was obvious that the words of the people made him fall into a bitter meditation. Half a ring. Well, since everything has come to this point, I can't hide it any more. The old elf seems to have made up his mind. In the eyes of many people he cleared his throat, and his face was solemn and dignified. You should know that the elven forest we live in now is actually the area where the demons are sealed, but you may not know that our elves actually have strong fighting power. But just what? Mr. Liu, just say it. Seeing that the old elven man wanted to stop talking, the elven people were obviously impatient. After all, the current situation will not take long. The old elf sighed. Originally, our king was qualified to say this, but now the king is closed, and the situation is facing such a crisis. I said that if we elves also need to have the fighting power comparable to the orcs, we need to open the forbidden area of our elves. As long as we can get back the original crystal of our elves from the forbidden area, I will be happy. The elves can become war elves. War spirit? Is it the legendary war spirit? All the elves on the scene were shocked, and then they were all excited like chicken blood. Among the elves, the legend of fighting elves has been spreading all the time. It is said that there is a kind of war spirit in the elf family, which is the most noble and powerful spirit in the elf family, and also the most mysterious. It is said that thousands of years ago, in the battle of sealing the demons, the war elves took part in the battle, and at the most crucial moment, it was precisely because of the war elves that the demons could be completely sealed. It is also said that the war elves are actually the envoys of the Protoss, so they have mysterious and powerful power. That's why the fighting power of the elves is so weak, but they can still survive in the fairyland. Generally, no one will break into the elves' forest without permission. I thought it was just a legend. Unexpectedly, today I was told that I only need to get the crystal of origin in the forbidden area to become a war spirit. How can this not make people excited and excited? Looking at the excited emotion of the people, the old elf sighed helplessly, and he knew it would be like this. However, he said in a loud voice, "Don't get excited, listen to me first." Originally excited many elves, after hearing the sound, they can only endure the inner excitement and look up at the old elves in the air. It's not so easy to become a war spirit. You should know that opening the forbidden area of the spirit clan requires sacrifice. Moreover, on the way to the forbidden area to retrieve the original crystal, you will encounter the organs in the forbidden area, which also means sacrifice. Sacrifice is very dangerous for the elves who are difficult to breed. This is the reason why the elves have been forbidden to enter the forbidden area. Mr. Liu, if the seal is broken, we will sacrifice the whole family. A voice came from many of the people. Then there are countless echoes. The old elf will tell this secret only when he knows the situation. However, opening the forbidden area requires at least 100 elves to be sacrificed, which must be voluntary. This is what he can't bear. Boom. All of a sudden, the crash of an earthquake came from far and near. Vaguely, it seems that we can still hear the roar of the beast, and the sharp sound wave roar of the mermaid clan. I'm afraid that the battle outside will become white hot. If this continues, the balance of the seal will be completely broken. Once the balance is broken, the seal will open automatically. Damn it! The old elf looks ugly. At this time, there is no time for him to hesitate. Okay, let's open the forbidden area. Another border. The dark sky is still silent. However, in a corner of the mansion, a faint light was shining in the dead darkness. 9 You lift Mao of looking at a side of Jade's sun return, light of say. Here is the only way to get back to the human world. The time I can open can only last for a quarter of an hour, and your chances at this quarter of an hour. If you can't get back to the human world within this quarter of an hour, you will be broken by the cracks in space. Human world. Yuzi looked at the array on the ground and raised his eyes to Juyo. Juyo chuckled. Yes, this gap can only lead to the human world, so if you successfully pass through the space crack, you need to rush back to the fairyland as soon as possible. I can feel that there is a big war in the fairyland now, and the seal of the fairyland has come to a great fluctuation. I'm afraid that it won't take much time, and the seal will be broken. If you don't want the tragedy to happen again, do your best to stop it. In the tone of Juyo, there is a trace of compassion for the first time. Can't you let her go back with me? Jade's son returned looking at 9 to ask away. The complexities in the eyes is very obvious. She of course is a cloud dance. Juyo shakes his head and looks at him seriously. What I told you last time. You should be very clear. For your own sake and for your life, you'd better keep a distance from her otherwise. Later, Juyo didn't go on. But the meaning is very clear. Jade's son returned bitterly a stringent smile. You can really be direct, okay? I understand your meaning, so please take good care of their mother and son. Hope to have a chance to see again later. Better not have a chance to see you again. 9 You hook lips to smile away. Next time, if we really see you again, it's probably when the seal is broken. Yuzigi looked at him and said nothing more. He stepped into the light array. Lord Juyo, send me back. With that, he couldn't help looking in a certain direction of the mansion, with a trace of bitterness in his eyes. Goodbye. Cloud dance. 9 You see this, smile speechless, then a black fog, see that array in the original light, suddenly dazzling up. A strong suction swept the space. Juyo's clothes were flying like the wind, but his tall figure did not move at all. He watched Yuzi Guy's figure disappear in the array. I hope you have time. This sentence, in a very low voice, seems to be just for myself. The dazzling light lasted for a short time. After Yuzigi disappeared, the light gradually disappeared. Finally, there are only faint traces of a ray left on the spot. If you don't look carefully, no one will notice that there is a gap connecting the human world in a small corner of the mansion. Come out. All of a sudden, Juyo's flat voice rang out. Turn ahead. That pair of deep black eyes looked to a corner with a smile. You're really sharp. Cloud danced that slender figure slowly from the corner out. Is also a smile at 9 However, then the sight fell on the faint array trace behind Juyo. Don't look, this gap is not suitable for you, and even if you want to try, you can only be yourself. Nyonyo's constitution can't pass. It means if you really want to go, you have to leave the fat chick. With that, Juyo didn't wait for Yunwoo to say anything, so he turned and left in another corridor. It seemed that he didn't worry about what Yunwoo would do. Cloud Dance really can't do anything. Silently to keep up with before and after, asked a low voice. You just said Fairyland is now a war? Yes, Juyo didn't hide it. Cloud Dance flashed a glimmer of hope. Is it him? He of course refers to the dragon. And Juyo, the prophet, naturally understood who she said he was. The original pace of walking suddenly stopped. Cloud Dance see this, also stopped, just look up, quietly looking at him. Juyo didn't look back. After a pause, he continued to move forward. However, his voice was inexplicably low. Yes. It's really him. She knew that he would find a way to save her. Yunwoo's heart is excited. I believe any woman will be excited at this moment. Cloud Dance, you really don't feel guilty at all? Juyo suddenly turns his head and looks at Yunwoo deeply. The streamer in that pair of black eyes seems to cover too much meaning. Cloud Dance see this, micro-lung after a while. Then there is no cover up the corner of the mouth, inexplicable smile. Guilt? Why should I feel guilty? This sentence, Hua Xiao feels some impulse to laugh. Guilt? Why feel guilty? Just for the so-called common people? Or to break the so-called balance of fairyland? If it is for the sake of the common people, she will be worthy of the common people from the moment she destroyed the beast gate. If it's for the sake of the balance of fairyland, it's totally unnecessary. Sooner or later, this so-called balance war will enter into a new wash. It's just like the law, the principle of long division, and long division is the same. It's just that she is the one who provokes me to take a mysterious one. In that case, why should she feel guilty? Yunwu has experienced a lot in her previous life, and in this life, she has experienced countless lives and deaths. From the moment when Bai Lao sacrificed her son to save them, she doesn't feel that she still owes anything to the world. To live is for herself, for her man, for her children. She doesn't accept the so-called high-sounding hats. Looking at the cloud dance that suddenly laughs, a doubt flashed in Juyo's eyes, frowning. You, Juyo, don't regard me as the virgin. Even if I am the witch saint you said, it's just you who imposed it on me. Yunwu intends to say what he wants to say, but Juyo looked at her deeply, as if he knew her for the first time. This is fate, and no one can change it. Well, I'll just say, I don't believe in fate. Yunwu looks at him. Don't believe in fate? Nine, you smell speech, but smile. Cloud dance, I have not said, in your body I really see their own shadow before? Cloud dance for this sentence, and did not answer. Good. In that case, I'll let you see the book of heaven with your own eyes. Finish saying, Nine, you stretch out a hand to hold her wrist, take her a flash of disappear in situ. Shuttling through the dark night, the cloud dance is very calm. It's a full moon today? No. Nine, you simple return way. Then you told me before that I can only see the book of heaven at the full moon. Is it false? So it is. Oh. In fact, after more than half a month, she guessed this. I just didn't expect that he would answer so directly. As for the back, Yunwu said nothing more. About half an hour later, two figures finally stopped on a mountain. This peak is different from other places. The stones on the top of this peak are emitting a little light. Different night pearls are bright, but they contain a kind of strange aura. It's very special to have the bright spirit power in the demon clan, and this kind of bright spirit power still covers the whole mountain. Here, the demons can't get close, and the book of heaven is in this mountain. Juyo turns to look at her and explains. Cloud dance, clear nod. Led by Juyo, you enter the entrance of a mountain. You can walk down the stairs from the entrance. Because of the light of the stone, Cloud dance can clearly see the situation around. Inside the cave, it is not as narrow as you can see outside. On the contrary, the deeper you go, the more spacious the surrounding space becomes. All the way to the bottom. The deeper you go, the heavier the pressure around you. It's like a kind of heavenly power, which makes people want to give in from the bottom of their heart. To this, Cloud Dance's brow couldn't help wrinkling. It seems that this so-called Book of Heaven is really not an ordinary thing. However, even if you feel that the pressure of Tianwei is more and more heavy, Yunwu still follows. Don't resist in your heart, otherwise, you can't go to the Book of Heaven. Juyo turns to look at the Cloud Dance behind him and says. Although Yunwu's face didn't change, the sweat on her forehead could tell that she was not feeling well at this time. It's not for you to submit to it, or for you to have a heart that resists it. It can sense it. Afraid Cloud Dance didn't understand. Nanyu again remind to say. Cloud Dance heard. Also try to relax themselves, empty mind, don't think of other. Not to mention, the original pressure on her, the force of heaven, lightened in an instant. However, listen to Nanyu that words, how feel that day book with personal similar. But soon, Yunwu saw the so-called Book of Heaven with his own eyes. Not to mention, the heavenly book was really beyond her expectation. At the end of the steps, a stone gate appeared. When the stone door is opened, there is a bright room inside, which is very spacious, but it has all kinds of furniture. But everything inside is pink. Pink stools and chairs, fans, curtains and tables. When Yunwu just walked into Sherman, he thought he fell into some pink space. Here you are, master. Suddenly, a very delicate voice sounded in the pink room. Cloud Dance looks along the voice, not from a lung. It was a very pink little girl, about 7 or 8 years old, dressed in pink, round eyes, pure and incomparable, looking at the two people coming in from the stone gate. If it wasn't for what she just said, Yunwoo couldn't imagine that the little girl in front of her would be the so-called Book of Heaven. However, this kind of surprise cloud dance soon converged. After all, she was used to emotional introversion. Is she the Book of Heaven? Cloud Dance turns to see to the side of Nine. You ask. Juyo nodded and walked slowly to the little girl with a gentle smile. Her slender big hand caressed her hair lovingly. She is the Book of Heaven, the inheritance of the messengers of the past dynasties. She looks like a person. Yunwoo didn't feel any special breath from her. It was totally personal. Juyo didn't answer this question. On the contrary, the little girl raised her mouth and laughed. Her pink skin seemed to be able to squeeze out water. Her smile was so innocent and lovely. I'm a real person. What? Yunwoo is a little surprised. Really? But I'm also a Book of Heaven. The little girl added. The clouds dance speechless. Juyo seems to feel helpless about the little girl's little interest. After rubbing her head, she walks towards a big mirror in the room. Cloud Dance follows. And the little girl seems to be dissatisfied. Master, can't you let me play a little more? It's boring. But she also obediently follows behind Nainyu. When walking to the mirror, Yunwoo finally understood the function of those mirrors. In the mirror, the little girl who was standing beside Juyo was floating in the air with a book with very old totem characters. That's what she is. Cloud Dance's pick eyebrows. Yes, the essence of the Book of Heaven. Juyo nodded. What are you telling me now? Are you really just showing me? Is there no other purpose? If it's conditional on her daughter, it's not negotiable. Juyo seemed to understand what she was thinking and said with a smile. Don't worry, Juyo is a witch people. The witch people will only comply with the destiny and will not force people to inherit my position. Smell speech. Cloud Dance, but the brow can't help wrinkling. In fact, if she had a choice, she really didn't want to be a witch, too much of the so-called destiny. In that case, according to what I said last time, I want to see the so-called situation about my daughter in the Book of Heaven. Now that they are all here, Yunwoo will not be polite. Juyo turns to the little girl beside him and gives her a look. Do as she says. With that, he did not stay in the room, turned and walked out of the room. Until Juyo left, the little girl turned her head and looked at Yunwoo. Nenen's voice became very serious. Do you want to see your children? Yes, it's not the master of the Book of Heaven. If you want to read the Book of Heaven, you need to pay a certain price. At what cost? Blood. I want a few drops of your blood. The little girl is direct too. What do you need my blood for? Cloud Dance understand this question seems to be redundant, but still can't help asking. The price. The little girl answered only 2 words. In the end, Yunwoo gave it. In any case, children are more important to her. Before you look at it, you need to know one thing. Fate has been arranged for a long time, and no matter who it is, it can't be changed. So, after entering, you don't want to tamper with anything, otherwise, you will be responsible for the consequences. Yes, after Yunwoo nodded, the little girl's figure disappeared and turned into a book of the ancient totem words. Open the Book of Heaven. A dazzling light instantly enveloped the whole house. Glass general light, with a very soft light, but as if with a trace of ruthless coldness. That light maintained for a long time, then faintly disappeared. After the light disappeared, the cloud dancing figure disappeared in the room. When the book is closed, the little girl's figure is transformed. The door, 9 tall figure slowly came in. Eyes soft looking at the face is not very good little girl. How are you? It's okay, but next time, master, can you stop making me do such thankless things? Knowing that her fate is doomed, why should I send her to the future? It's exhausting little girl doodle mouth of say, small body float to sit. 9 smell speech, fell into a burst of silence. Yes, he just promised to show her the situation of her children, but he just decided to send her to the future to see her whole fate. Why do you do this? In fact, 9 also some think don't understand. Maybe it's what she said not long ago. Guilt. These 3 words, for his whole life, are so heavy. However, in her eyes, she could not see any trace at all. Some envy. at the same time some envy. With sympathy, how long has that complicated emotion not appeared? Jiyo doesn't remember. However, this time the decision, I hope he can see some different effects. This life, too, it's boring. Master, I want to sleep. Then the little girl closed her eyes. Quietly sitting in the air, very quiet, very soft. Jiyo didn't leave, just looked at her quietly. Looking at her small face with her outline. The heart that was as silent as death pool, inexplicably across a familiar pain. That pain led him that always gentle handsome face appeared a crack. Just that kind of crack, but was soon covered up by a kind of coldness. But that pair of deep eyes low depth, but still floating a trace should not have some emotional fluctuations. Hundreds of years. I thought that after hundreds of years, my memory of her should be almost consumed. But the fact is that in the years of grinding, memory not only does not wear away, but like wine general, more and more clear and rich. It's just that he has been hiding in the deepest part of his heart. He is waiting for one day, who can help him break that layer of oppression and release the deepest gap. Fairyland. Under the war, the smell of blood filled the sky. The blood flow of the dead and wounded almost disturbed the fairyland. Long Qingxia has been watching coldly. His deep black eyes are brewing some undercurrent, holding his son, quietly watching such a huge war. Almost. Not enough. The impact is not enough. On the other side, Mei also stands up against the wind, quietly looking at the battlefield, also calculating in his heart. According to the turbulence of this kind of war, it is still worse. The seal was sealed by the power of the Protoss, and it was suppressed by the spirit power of the elves. If you want to break through this seal, you are really missing something. Seems to be tacit understanding, standing on both sides of the end of the two emperors, but at the same time looked at each other. It was so far apart that only a faint black spot could be seen. However, the two seem to have a connection unknown to others. Almost. It's a little short. Two people's minds at the same time sounded a sentence, but the same meaning. What can you do? Dragon Qing Evil holding his son, quietly watching the war, but the mind is silent asked. The evil spirit glared at the battlefield, with no expression on his face, and said in the same silent way. No way, now all those who can stir up are stirred up, unless the elves can leave the elves' forest. Can we move the battlefield? Long Qingxia asked. No, you haven't been in the elf forest. It's the center of the seal. We can't get close to it. Mei said, pausing for a moment and then continued, but maybe we can lead them out. How to lead? The elves will definitely stop the war between our two factions. If my investigation is correct, in order to stop our war, the elves will open the forbidden area and become the fighting elves with the power of crystal. The war spirit has a strong fighting capacity and can fly in the air and has a great advantage in the sky. As long as we cooperate with each other at that time, we can temporarily hold the war spirit down. Yes. In this way, the two emperors made arrangements for the follow-up during the fighting between the two sides. The turmoil in the fairyland has also brought great changes to the human world. Dense clouds and heavy rain for several days have led to floods in many places. In some places, the sun is scorching, the vegetation is dry and the ground is cracked. Natural and man-made disasters. This has had a great impact on the human world. Yuzigi, who has passed through the cracks and entered the human world, is back in the cracks of the earthquake. In his confusion, he also saw the disaster of the human world. How could it be so serious? Yuzigi's robes were not clean, but were charred and damaged by lightning. 3 days of space transmission, in which the crisis suffered only his own clear. Fortunately, the crisis can always be resolved. However, as soon as he entered the human world, he was faced with the disaster suffered by the human world. Yuzigi's mood was very complicated. He knew that it was the Battle of Fairyland that caused such turbulence and natural disasters in the human world. But he didn't have time to pity the common people. After joining the world, he quickly set out for the journey to the upper world. He came back to stop the war. Only when the Battle of Fairyland is over and the seal of the demon clan is not broken, can the human world return to a peaceful life. Otherwise, the human world, the upper world and the fairyland are afraid that there will be no peace from now on. However, Uzigi didn't go far at all. Suddenly, a thunder and lightning came down from the sky, and then it fell from his head. That speed is fast. Jade Sun returned less inside Dan, simply unprepared. Boom. Thunder and lightning. After Uzigi was cut down by lightning, he fell to the ground straightly. However, there was no blackening, no breath break. Just like sleeping peacefully, after falling to the ground, he quietly closed his eyes and fell asleep. But in the dream, he had many memories in his mind. For example, his birth and mission of existence. Another example is the origin of the two sects in fairyland. Another example is the relationship between the existence of the three realms and the mysterious Protoss. It turned out that the thunder was not caused by the immortal world war, but came from a sky thunder outside the three worlds. Above the human world is the upper world, and above the upper world is the fairyland. As for the fairyland, it is said that it is the divine world. The Protoss are in charge of the three realms. At the beginning, the Protoss created people, so they were in charge of everyone's destiny. However, it is said that the demons are not controlled by the Protoss, and once a man is possessed by the demons, he will break away from the control of the Protoss, and his fate will be reduced to beyond the three realms. The Protoss is the god who makes people. Naturally, it is impossible for the demons to disturb the peaceful three realms. It's impossible to allow the people they created to become the demons who broke away from the control of the Protoss. Therefore, in order to prevent people from being seduced by the demons, the Protoss created a cultivation method and formed an upper bound with the ability to resist the temptation of the demons. But the temptation of demons to hire people also seems to exist, and once they become demons, they are more difficult to suppress. So God created a fairyland higher than the upper realm, and closer to the Protoss. If people in the fairyland can practice kung fu, they will have a chance to become gods as long as they break through to the end. Such talent should be the most difficult to be seduced by the devil. However, there are still people who cultivate immortals and become immortals. Besides the three realms, the demons are even more out of God's control. Slowly, more and more immortals fall. Finally, the Protoss couldn't bear it and decided to destroy the demons. However, there are gods in the demons. It is said that the devil has the power to destroy heaven and earth, which is enough to match the Protoss. If God and devil really want to fight, it will be enough to destroy the whole world. In desperation, the Protoss and the demon god signed a treaty that they would never leave the divine world, and the two sides would never intervene in the three worlds in person. That's why the elves came to the fairyland from the divine world, and helped several old men in the fairyland to seal the demons hand in hand. From then on, they were suppressed in the fairyland. As for the demon god, leave one hand at the same time. However, because of the treaty, neither the devil nor the god can cheat too obviously. The information in Yuzi's mind, after thorough integration, he slowly woke up. However, after waking up, because of the huge amount of information suddenly integrated, it caused a stab in the head. It took a long time for him to recover from the sting, but his face was a little strange. Protoss. The devil, two words, even for Yuzi's return, are strange and legendary. But I didn't expect that it really existed. However, the thunder and lightning, is not the Protoss cut down, specifically to pass these messages to him? If it's true, what does the Protoss want him to do? Stop the fairyland war? Maybe it is this. After all, once the demons break the seal, it will bring disaster to the three realms. However, from the information, it seems that the demons existed before human beings. Moreover, the demons did not seem to have the so-called violent killing in the rumor. Is it too selfish for the Protoss to seal it? But this idea just flashed through Yuzi Gui's mind, and he was frightened. How could he have such an idea? Did she really dance with the clouds for a long time? And some of them were assimilated by her unique, bold ideas? Thinking of this, Yuzigi couldn't help laughing bitterly. In fact, to be honest, I'm afraid he didn't spend 3 months with Yunwu. 3 months, more than hundreds of years. It seems that his love robbery is really insurmountable. Forget it, I don't want to. If the Protoss information is passed down, then he can't have any strange intention. He has to go back to the fairyland immediately. At the entrance of the human world into the upper world, Uzgui can feel it. However, because of frequent natural disasters, it took Uzi a lot of time to get to the entrance. Upper bound. It's worse than the human world, and it's getting worse. After all, the fairyland is above the upper bound, and the impact is more serious. Especially on the way to the entrance of fairyland, the disaster becomes more obvious. Boom boom. Earthquakes come without warning. The ground brush burst open with hot molten slurry, engulfing many unprepared people. Help me. Help? Intermingled calls for help came from all over the country. However, the disaster did not get any relief. Instead, it came more and more frequently and took more lives. Yuzi couldn't bear to see those lives die, but he couldn't stop to save those people. His inner suffering made him feel more uncomfortable. He could only speed up to the entrance of fairyland. At the same time, entrance to fairyland. Situlan, Shangguan, you go back to the human world. Master Yin, they still need you. Nangong Yi, who is leading to the barrier, shouts to Situlan behind him. They are ready to go to the fairyland after they come out of Nirvana. But not long after they arrived at the entrance of the fairyland, they felt the wave coming from the fairyland. It's been 4 days. They have been deadlocked for 4 days in the barrier leading to the entrance of fairyland. At this time, there were injuries of different sizes in each body. At this time, only Situlan was the closest to Shangguan outside the barrier. After 4 days of activity, I'm afraid the upper world and the human world are not very calm. Nanganji, who is at the front with the knight, shouts to Situlan. Situlan is the prince of an kingdom. I'm afraid that what really happens in the human world needs his presence. As for Shangguan, it must not be a problem for him to take care of the Cloud family. How could Situlan not understand what he meant when he followed the official to hear the speech? However, now this barrier seems to be activated by the fluctuation of fairyland. They have been trapped here for 4 days. Even if they want to go out, it's a problem. No, we're trapped too. Hongling Lanyu, go back to the human world first. Shangguan turned his head and looked at Hongling on the other side. Because they are contract beasts dancing in the clouds, and they insist all the time. They bring them with them when they leave. Although this barrier exerts pressure on them and forces them back to their prototype, they are not trapped like them. How can we leave you like this? Yes, if something happens to you, how can we explain it to Mama in the future? That's it. A few guys won't go. Finally, Mingbai said, Yunwu's grandfather is what she cares about most. What's more, there are her father and grandfather's relatives in the human world. It's better for you to go back and protect them than to stand in a stalemate here. What's more, there's me here. It'll be okay. Mingbai is a snow rat. The barrier will not cause him to be trapped. A hongling with a red flower, a blue yu with a piece of ice soul, a half-ghost beast, and a small stink of red beacon fire. After the 4 guys heard the words, there was a moment of silence. I can. Little Stink, you also have to go back to your Phoenix clan. Don't forget, you and your clan need you. After this sentence, Xiao Stinky's original unwillingness can only be silent. Okay, you go back quickly. The most important thing is to protect the people who need to be protected. Pray for the night and tell me. Now the situation is beyond their control. The entrance to fairyland seems more and more turbulent. I'm afraid that if this goes on like this, there will be some accidents in this barrier. But you. However, in this stalemate, a figure came through the stone mountain and into the entrance of fairyland. Who broke into the fairyland? A hearing came, and then he saw a man in luxurious clothes flying. Nangong Yi and others heard the sound. I can see that the temperament of the comer is extraordinary, elegant and detached, and it seems that there are some different feelings in the breath. Good old man, we just want to get to the entrance of fairyland. It's just that there is turbulence coming from the entrance of fairyland, which leads to the barrier being sealed. Nangong Yi said respectfully and politely. Man smells speech. Eyebrow I see you. A pair of sharp eyes straight sweep them. When I saw that several people had spiritual roots, my look was a little more relaxed. However, when the line of sight saw those Meng by Hongling who were forced back to their original shape, their eyes were cold. To the fairyland. Don't you know that no one can break into the fairyland without permission except those who have immortal roots? How can you bring inferior creatures into the fairyland? Inferior creatures? The presence of Nangong Yi and others smell speech. Chi-Chi face slightly heavy, eyebrows slightly wrinkled. Senior, they are all our companions. Moreover, it is said that as long as they can pass this barrier, they can lead to the fairyland, can't they? Praise the night color to open mouth coldly to say. Their companions along the way are said to be inferior creatures, and no one will be happy. But when the man heard that, his face became more gloomy, and he was pressed down by the powerful pressure. Who said that? I've been guarding for hundreds of years. How can I know such ridiculous stories? These days, if it was not for the sudden battle in fairyland, he would not leave the guard's entrance temporarily. Unexpectedly, as soon as he returned to the entrance he guarded, he saw that several human beings were sealed inside the barrier. Originally, for the sake of their spiritual roots, he planned to help them. I didn't expect that they would talk to him with such an attitude besides carrying pets. For hundreds of years, anyone who wants to enter the fairyland is not flattering him. For the first time, someone is so short-sighted. A burst of exasperation suddenly rose in the guard's heart. The fairyland does not allow lower creatures to enter. Go away quickly. A hand flick. A powerful force will suddenly be a few people in the barrier with a small stink they fly out. In this way, they were so angry that they jumped. Your grandmothers, you are the lower creature. My master is the most noble witch saint. Why do you look down on people with a dog's eye? Hongling de Honghua furiously said. That's right. I'm the little master of the Phoenix clan. What's a lower creature? You are the lower creature. Your whole family is. Little Stink also raised his head and roared. Lan Yu has always been calm, but this time his face is low. White snow, that pair of scarlet rabbit eyes, angry cold looking at him, the same pair of anger. However, the guard seemed to be dismissive and said, Inferior creatures are inferior creatures. Get out of here, and let me drive you out again. Otherwise it will not be so simple. When the Fairyland War was in turmoil, he didn't have the patience to waste time with these shrimps who wanted to enter the fairyland. This arrogant attitude made a few little guys angry. You. As soon as Xiao Chou wants to speak, Nangongyi reaches out his hand to signal him not to speak. He stepped forward and said politely, Master, we really have some reasons not to enter the fairyland. If we offend more, please forgive me for our beginnings. This kind of respectful appearance made the guard feel comfortable, but he didn't intend to let them go like that. Now the fairyland is not the time to enter the world of strangers. Now the fairyland forbids anyone to enter. You go back first, and come back later. Master, we really have something urgent. Can you give us some accommodation? No, leave now. The guard brushed his hand impatiently. What you tell him, he's just trying to embarrass us. Mengbai said with a frown. That's right. He's deliberately not letting us in. Hongling also said with the big red flower. It's obvious that the little ones are dissatisfied. But when the guard heard this, his face sank. Inferior creatures, are you qualified to speak? Language falls at the moment. A powerful force suddenly will Hongling to fly out. The powerful and fast power didn't even react to Nangongyi. Hongling. Bai Shuer's wind system went away at top speed and caught Hongling at the moment when she was shot down. You've gone too far. Little Stinky raised his head and drank angrily. Then he flew up in the air and spewed fire at the man. But the guard seemed to disdain it completely. With a cold hum, he hit it with all his strength. Little Stink, be careful. Shangguan quickly aroused the spirit power to offset. But that power still beat him and Stink back a few steps. Nangongyi's face changed greatly. Their fierce and terrifying fighting power in the upper world of human beings is so pale in front of this guard. Is this the gap with Fairyland? You really don't want to eat. Okay, I'll take you out in person. The guard said impatiently and coldly, and a powerful spirit force suddenly hit Nangongyi from his hand. As for whether they will be maimed, this is not in his consideration. Seeing this, Nangongyi and others immediately did not hesitate. The moment aroused by the spirit power, they left at the same time. Bang bang. The attack of power stirred up a loud noise in mid-air. It seems that the guard did not expect that these people could resist him, and there was a little bit of side-purpose exploration in his eyes. However, they have already done so. Naturally, we can't just let it go. Since they can resist him, let's see if they can resist him. With a little skill, I want to enter the fairyland. I'm really ignorant. With a cold sound, the guard no longer seems to be merciful. Then please give me some advice. Shadow after shadow appeared in midair to count the enemy. For a moment, it was a draw. The guard didn't look very good at this, especially when he found the special attack power of these people and contract beast after fighting. He had some small changes in his heart. However, at this time, it was impossible for him not to do so. But when the two sides were in full swing, a rather embarrassed figure appeared in the air not far away. Yuzigi didn't expect that as soon as he arrived at the entrance of Fairyland, he saw someone fighting. Originally, he didn't intend to interfere and delay the time, but when he saw clearly a few of them, he stopped abruptly. Is it them? Her life and death partners in Yunwu's memory. Why are they here? And this problem, Jade-sun didn't think too long. After close, immediately stop. Guard of the wind. A spiritual force separated the two sides, and the figure fell in the air. The wind bodyguard hears the sound, immediately stops the attack, but looks at the jade sun that falls from the sky to return with a face surprised. Jade Master? Why are you here? How could the Lord of Yuguishan appear here in such a mess? Not long ago, he heard about the sudden disappearance of the Yuguishan patriarch. How could he appear in the human world? He has been guarding the entrance, and has never seen him go out of the fairyland. For a moment, the wind bodyguard didn't care about Nangong-yi and others. Instead, he said respectfully to Yuzigi, Master Yu, now the Fairyland War, the Guangming faction has been looking for your whereabouts. It's really great that you can come back. Yuzigi just nodded to him. I came back to stop the war. What's the situation now? The war has spread to the edge of the elven forest. The orcs and mermaids are divided into two groups to fight. The Dark Emperor and the Ming Emperor are back. They are in the right hands. What's the situation in the fairyland now? It's serious. The wind bodyguard wants to say and stop saying. Those who guard the entrance of fairyland are always selected from the two factions, and this round of candidates just came from the Guangming faction. That's why Yuzigi knew the wind guard. The return of the Dark Emperor and the Ming Emperor? Hearing this, Yuzigi frowned. How can it be? If the Dark Emperor doesn't say it first, it means that the Emperor is charming. How can he go back to Yuguishan? Yes, I heard that the Dark Emperor had just returned to the Dark Cloud Palace, and the Ming Emperor had also returned to Yuguishan. Fortunately, there was the return of the Ming Emperor, otherwise, the Dark faction would take the opportunity to devour the Bright faction. Wind Bodyguard thought of the current situation, can't help saying two more words. Jade Sun return eyebrow more see you rise, a undercurrent flashed the eye ground. It seems that this somewhat existence. Bodyguard Feng, these are all my friends. I'm afraid they need their help in this war. Do you think they can follow me back to the fairyland? Jade Sun return also don't delay, but directly turn to Ci South Palace to wait to say. It turned out that they were the friends of Master Yu. If I had known, how could I not let them in? The wind bodyguard hears the speech and says in a hurry. The previous attitude of disdain has dissipated. However, the entrance to the fairyland is now affected. They are afraid to enter the fairyland with their present ability. The wind guard looks at Nangong-yi and others and tells Yuzigi the truth. After all of these people put together, and then we got a draw with him. I really don't know why Master Yu said they could help. Fairyland War is not a children's play. It's okay. I just need to ask the wind bodyguard to help us send us to the fairyland. I'll arrange the rest. The more dignified and polite Yuzigi was. Seeing this, the wind bodyguard could not say anything more. Since Master Yu said that, what else would he think? Think of this, the wind bodyguard no longer tangled nodded. Okay, I'll send you in right away. And then, the rest goes well. Xiaoxiaika and Hongling are arranged to go back to the human world and the upper world, and the others follow Yuzigi into the fairyland. with the escort of that guard. Although the entrance to the fairyland was turbulent, it didn't affect anything. When you really step into the fairyland, Nangongyi found the opportunity to speak. I don't know why Master Yu wants to help us. What can I do for you? Hearing the bodyguard call Yuzigi like this, he naturally followed that call. Yuzigi looks at the gentle and handsome Nangongyi, and some pictures from Yunwu's memory flash through his mind. The one she was meant to be? To tell you the truth, when he first saw Nangongyi, he had a strange feeling. It's not a rival, it's just a very similar feeling. Now he seems to understand the origin of that feeling. Looking at Nangongyi, Yuzi didn't open his mouth. However, a helpless smile rose from the corner of his mouth. For a long time, when Nangongyi couldn't help saying something again, he said, "You should have heard what I just said. There is a war in fairyland now. I need your help." Smell speech, Shangguan Nangongyi and others can't help but look at each other. They entered the fairyland in order to find the clouds, but now the fairyland is turbulent, and they don't know where to start. Maybe through this Jade Lord. What do we need to do? As you should have seen just now, even the guards can't win with our combined abilities. I don't know what we can do for you. It's not that he belittles himself, but that it's better to explain some things directly. You just need to help me persuade one person. Yuzigi looked at them deeply. In his eyes, he didn't seem strange to them at all. Because of this, Nangongyi frowned. Who? Long Qingxia. These 3 words surprised several people present. What? Shangguan frowned and looked at Yuzigi. Do you mean Dragon Qingxia? Isn't it the one we know? It's impossible. Long Qingxia is not Bai. Meng Bai also frowned, but his words stopped. Nangongyi and Situ Lan seem to be silent. They look at this image in a deep thought. They are a bit embarrassed, but they are full of refined and cold men. This man, even if he is in a mess, has an extraordinary temperament. I think his status in this fairyland must be not low. Master Yu, you can tell us directly. Situlan said directly. He will ask them to help persuade the dragon to pour out evil spirits, which shows that he knows them. This surprised them. However, it is not impossible to think that this is fairyland and want to know their situation. But what they are jumping about in their heart is to hear about the existence of dragon's evil. All the time, since the disappearance of Long Qingxia that day, they really couldn't find any trace. For a time, they thought that they might not be able to find him. Therefore, after they learned that Yunwu had been abducted, they would be desperate to get her back. When Long Qingxia was in the human world, he was forcibly brought up by the Dark Cloud Palace of the Dark Faction in the Fairyland, because he was born with dark constitution and had the potential to awaken the Dark Faction. So he was selected. After a pause, Yuzigi continued. He awakened the power of the Dark Emperor in the Dark Cloud Palace, and became the Dark Emperor of the Dark Faction in the Fairyland. In the Battle of Fairyland, he is one of the Dark Factions. Our Guangming faction also has a Ming Emperor, who fights against Guangming faction. Hearing this, Nangongyi heard something. So now is the battle between the dark and the light in the Fairyland? Yes, but if it's just a fight between the 2 factions, I'm not worried. But you may not know that there will be light and darkness in Fairyland, because there is also a demon clan. The balance between the 2 factions is to maintain the suppression of the seal of the demon clan. But once this balance is broken, the seal of the demon clan will be loose. If it is affected by the war, the seal will be broken. Once the seal of the demons is forced, the demons will return to the world. At that time, no matter it is the human world, the upper world or the Fairyland, it will be invaded by the demons and never be peaceful. Demons? This is the first time that Nangongyi and others have heard it. However, hearing that the 3 realms would be invaded by the demons, several people's faces were quite heavy. So this is about the whole 3 realms? They just came to look for Yunwu. Unexpectedly, they met such a heavy responsibility. However, with them, they don't think they have the ability to stop the Battle of Fairyland. According to their understanding of the dragon, if he knew that it would cause such consequences, he would not launch such a war. But if he does, there must be a reason why he has to. Nangongyi looked at each other and exchanged a look. Then Nangongyi said, if the dragon in your mouth is the friend we know, we can persuade him. But you also said, what Dark Emperor he has awakened now. We can't guarantee whether our persuasion will succeed. As long as you open your mouth, even if you can't stop it, you can delay for some time. Yuzigi looks at Nanganji seriously. I know that you have fallen in love with the dragon, and Yunwu, they are life and death partners and have deep feelings. If it's not for this, I don't want to embarrass you, but please save the world again. Yuzigi knew very well that even if he arrived at the battlefield, he could not really stop the war. Meeting them may be fate. All the people in the world. Master Yu, this burden is too heavy. Shangguan said with a frown. They've been through so many things, and they're not mindless. Some things, some hats, can't be taken on casually. You just said cloud dance. Have you met her? Where is she now? Nangong Yi is watching Yuzi return. You've met my master. Can you tell us where she is? Lan Yu wants to come to coldly also can't help but ask away. Other people are also staring at Yuzigi. She's still somewhere else and can't come back for the time being. Where? Facing the questions of Nangong Yi, Yuzigi didn't answer, but looked at a certain direction of the fairyland. You help me first, and I will tell you all the causes and consequences. Perhaps, when they saw the dragon, they knew that they didn't need him to explain. It's just right now he can't say. When he thought of Yunwu, he could not help feeling painful. But it was strange, but it was still suppressed by him. Let's go. Time doesn't wait. We want to go to the battlefield. Yuzigi said that without waiting for other people to say anything, he jumped up in the air and quickly headed for the turbulent direction. The South Palace several people confluence of saw one eye, didn't open a mouth, but each other very tacit understanding. Follow up. One by one, they jumped up in the air and chased after Yuzi. In Fairyland, the aura in the air is obviously rich countless times. However, the aura in the air has a very clear distinction between the light element and the dark element. Along the way, it didn't arrive as fast as expected, because the width of the fairyland is indeed several times larger than that of the human world. However, it is clear that such a vast fairyland can be shaken by the fluctuation of the war. So we can see how serious the war was. The battlefield, the vast expanse of corpses, has dyed the earth red. But the two sides of the war seem to be killing tirelessly. One by one, like killing red eyes, is the other party, like the enemy, want to kill all in general. In fact, it is because of selfish desire that this war was started. In the fairyland, the people who cultivate immortals kill because of their selfish desires. I don't know whether others believe it or not. But at this moment, the two emperors who provoked the war behind them did not have the so-called guilt at all, and watched the scene coldly. One, for the sake of the person he loves, he dares to do anything. One, for revenge, he would do anything. The reason for them is that these people, the so-called immortals, the so-called higher people who are closest to the Protoss. How much more time? Invisible communication rings out between each other. We have to wait. The war elves are about to wake up. By that time, it should be almost there. Charming cold hook lips. Dragon Qing evil, also evil for young mouth with a dark. After the seal of the demon family broke, your wish can also be fulfilled. In this way, your woman and daughter can come back. What are your plans then? I don't plan to. As long as I can destroy you, Guishan, I won't be sorry. What about you? After the seal of the demon clan is broken, the influence will certainly extend to the human world. The evil spirit looks at the opposite dragon. The dragon is silent. In the human world, there are not only his relatives, but also her close relatives and companions. Once the demons invade, I'm afraid the three realms will be affected. And he did it all by himself. However, even so, he will not hesitate to choose this road. He can do anything for her. Whether he became too gloomy and cold-blooded, or he was assimilated by the dark power of the Dark Emperor. He just wanted to follow his strongest instinct. His woman, his daughter, must be saved. No regrets. His position has been made clear in 2 words. These 2 words, but also let the charm that cold face with a smile. A feeling of love arises spontaneously. I'm sorry I didn't know you earlier. Dragon Qing evil hook lips a smile. It's not too late now. With that, He suddenly turned his head and looked up at the direction of the fairy forest at the same time. Another changed charm also turned to look in the same direction. Coming. Hoo-hoo. The movement of some strong wind, from far to near. Stop it! A voice of magnificence came from the air. On the battlefield, the orcs, the mermaid, the dark and the light have all been killed. Mr. Lu led the way with hundreds of awakened war elves. But they didn't expect that the situation on the battlefield was far more serious than they had imagined. And the killing almost made everyone's eyes red. In a stop sound, still no one stopped. Mr. Lu, it's useless. I'll do it. A fairy woman with a bow on her back said that she quickly took out her bow and suddenly opened it in the void. Next second, a fiery red arrow congealed in the void, and then arched out like a rainbow, which set off a burst of flame in midair. Boom! A huge sound of bombing instantly set off in the battlefield. A flash of sparks exploded, affecting countless people. Great power! Originally those who killed Red Eyes, finally in this loud noise, and was shocked to stop. Chi-Chi raised his head to the hundreds of elves who came out of the elves' forest. However, the elves at this time were not as gentle as they had always seen. At this time, the elves were all carrying bows and arrows, or carrying strange weapons, but they were as small as ordinary people. Yes, the elves who used to be little people are all the same as ordinary people. The only difference is that they still have a pair of wings. A pair of wings with a layer of armor. All over the body exudes a strong dignity, a noble atmosphere. The war elves are actually the prototypes of the real elves. Hundreds of war elves, flying in mid-air, with a powerful momentum that cannot be ignored. Everybody stop it. Seeing that the battlefield was quiet for a moment, Mr. Lu quickly said, "Can you listen to me first?" The four old men of Yugui Mountain seem to think of some legends when they see the changing war elves. They are all surprised to see the elves in the air. Even the court of Dark Cloud Palace seemed to think of something, and looked at the battle spirit in mid-air in surprise. For a moment, the battlefield, which was still killing, was suddenly silent. Hundreds of battle elves were standing in the air, surging. Lu Laoli, the spirit, stood in front of hundreds of spirits. He didn't wake up to the war spirits, so he was very small in front of hundreds of war spirits. However, it did not affect the spread of his voice at all. As an immortal cultivator in the fairyland, I believe we all know that there is a seal on the demons in our fairyland. And the edge of the seal is under the land under your feet. We can't fight anymore. Otherwise, the demons will break the seal. At that time, I'm afraid it will bring disaster to the three realms, causing the invasion and killing of the demons. As soon as these words came out, the faces of all the people present changed slightly, especially the elder of Yuguishan. Yes, he said, why did he forget one thing all the time? That is, the seal of the demons. How could he forget that this place, close to the elf forest, is just the edge of the seal of the demon clan? This war actually started a big killing on the seal. Didn't it help Zhou break the seal? Thinking of this, the elder of Yuguishan immediately said, "Order to go down, let's all stop and come back first." Drink. The other three elders also understand the consequences, quickly let people order down. However, compared with the worries of Yuguishan, the Dark Cloud Palace seems to be quite calm. After all, the constitution of their dark faction is more inclined to the demons. For the demons, almost all the people present are probably just known in the rumor. Old elf, although we know that the seal is in this range, how do you want us to believe what you said? If we want a truce, you can ask the people of the light faction to return our son of darkness. Cried one of the leaders of the dark faction. This war originally came from the son of darkness and light. This war has been going on for more than half of the time. But suddenly, without any words or reasons, it stops fighting like that. Isn't it a big loss? Especially this time, the dark faction cooperated with the orcs, which paid a lot of conditions. Hearing a representative of the dark faction, the old elf frowned. The birth of the son of darkness, the son of light, was also heard during this period. It's just if you fart, the son of darkness is no longer with us. If you want to return it, your dark faction is the son of light who needs to return it to us. At first, because of the order of Elder Yuguishan, Many Guangming factions were ready to retreat. After hearing that, they were not happy. Too much has been sacrificed in this war. How can you just go home empty-handed? That is, if we don't return our Son of Light, we can't think of a truce. If the Light faction is not willing, the Dark faction will not. You just fart one by one. Our Dark Son is imprisoned by you. If you don't hand it over, you can't think of a truce like that. If you don't hand it in, just fight. Bursts of angry voice, resounding in the temporarily stopped battlefield. Seeing this, Mr. Lu in the air frowned. Mr. Lu, what should we do now? They don't seem to want a truce. Just now that spirit woman also frowns of ask away. Although they are now hundreds of war elves, on the battlefield below, the combined number of the two sides is enough for tens of thousands. These millions of people can't watch at all. What's more, the awakened war elves are too destructive. I'm afraid that this uncontrolled move will cause more serious consequences. Lu Laomu swept the battlefield around him, and his sight had been circulating among many people. Finally, the sight fell on one of the two sides of the Light faction and the Dark faction. Dark Emperor, Ming Emperor, who started the war. You stay here for a while, and try not to let people do it again. I'll go down and meet the Ming Emperor and the Dark Emperor first. Lu turned his head and said to the war elves behind him. After hearing the words, the war elves all nodded and stared at the battlefield. Immediately, Lu's figure is now flying in the direction of Guangming faction. Maybe old Lu is not awakened to fight spirit, exquisite body, not with much powerful attack, so his arrival did not encounter anyone's obstruction. When he comes to charm, the old man politely saluted and then said, Emperor Ming, you are the representative of this bright faction, Emperor Guangming. You should not bear to see the seal forced to cause the crisis of the three realms, right? Although I'm a little old elf, I still want you to see that I can prevent this war from continuing for the sake of all the people in the world. Lu Lao said that with incomparable piety and respect. However, Mei Wenyan just gave him a cold smile and looked at him with an eyebrow. You have just heard what the people said. It's not that I didn't stop it, but that it's the Dark faction. If you can persuade the Dark faction, my Bright faction will not continue. However, our Bright Sun must hand it in. You should be very clear. What does the Son of Light represent to our Bright faction? And what will happen when the Son of Light falls into the hands of the Dark faction? His words were not very loud, but they were enough for most people to hear clearly. The latter two words, on the contrary, strengthened the determination of the Guangming faction to be the son of Guangming and never give in. When Mr. Lu heard that, how could he not hear the implication? He didn't look very good, but he couldn't find words to refute. The Son of Light, indeed, cannot fall into the hands of the Dark factions. Well, I won't say much, but can you ask Emperor Ming to promise me that if you don't do it, you can try not to do it? Let me go to the Dark faction first. See if there's any room for negotiation. Mei shrugged and said with a smile, This is something that I can do. Please do as you please. In the end, Lu could only leave from the Bright faction and go towards the Dark faction. This time, the target is the dragon that has been standing on the top of a giant beast. Holding the Son of Light, he is very abrupt and eye-catching. Still, the Dark faction did not block the arrival of Lu Lao, but a pair of eyes fell on him. The Dark Emperor is good. I'm still polite. It's not strange that there are so many people. Long Qingxia's black eyes quietly looked at the old Lu who came. He didn't show much expression for his salute. He was as indifferent as the Buddha's face. Dark Emperor, can you listen to me? After looking at the young master in his arms, Mr. Lu raised his eyes to look at the dragon and asked. Dragon Qing evil at this time, but suddenly the corners of his mouth slightly up, evil for light stained with his beautiful face. Can say to hear. The child in your arms is the Son of the Light. He can only survive by absorbing the power of the light. If he has been in the dark area, I'm afraid it will hurt him. Can you give the Son of the Light back to the Light faction in front of me? Lu said with emotion. Unfortunately, after hearing the words, Long Qingxia only answered two words. No. You as the Dark Emperor, do you want to see the end of the three worlds destroyed? Old Lu frowned at the beautiful dragon in front of him. Don't put such a big hat on my head. Although I am the so-called Dark Emperor, I am also a normal man. What do you mean? Old Lu heard about it, but he didn't understand it. What do you mean? My woman was taken prisoner by the people of their bright clique, and the whereabouts of my children are unknown. In this war, I just want to get my woman back and my children. Women? Children? Old Lu frowned deeply. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and looked up at him in surprise. Do you mean that the son of Haiming is your child? Long Qingxia hooked his lips and looked at him, but his voice was cold. Yes, they caught my woman and child, and the child was still the son of darkness. You say, can I just stop? Old Lu was a little stunned. Obviously, the problem here is bigger than that of the Guangming faction. But it's private. There's no need to. Private? Hearing this, Long Qingxia suddenly laughed. Lu suddenly felt a heavy heart, inexplicably feel that things do not seem so simple. The son of light in my arms is my son. Do you think it can be personal? What? The son of light is also his now, not to mention that Mr. Lu was shocked. Even the people of all the dark factions were shocked, including that company court. It's not surprising that the Dark Emperor of a dark faction can have a son of darkness, but if there is a son of light at the same time, it's shocking. And here he also explained one thing: at this time private cannot. Unless the light faction can give up the son of light. It's just, is that possible? It's because it's impossible that this war happened. If you come to persuade me, yes, you only need to do one thing, that is to let them return my women and children. Only then can the war stop. If you don't say it, it means you don't say it. Old Lu looked at the dragon and frowned. Is there no room for negotiation? Please come back, otherwise the fight will spread to you carelessly, and it will not be worth the loss. The meaning is obvious. What are you still doing? Go on. You must take back the son of darkness for me. Long Qingxia no longer looked at Old Lu, but called to the battlefield in a cold voice. With that cry, the battlefield, which was still, just like the playing state, was opened again. And the other side at the same time. Charm also hooked lips to shout away. Kill, grab the son of light back. A drink a time, both sides began again. Seeing the battlefield start again, Mr. Lu's face was not very good. He was even dignified. However, he found that there was no way to stop it. If you really let the war spirit fight, I'm afraid that even if you stop the war, the seal will suddenly. Lu's eyes fell on the young master in the arms of Long Qingxia. Maybe that's the only way. Shadow, suddenly flying over, very quickly straight to the dragon. But the next second, a scream, suddenly flying out. See, Lu Lao's body seemed to be hit by what suddenly go out, fall straight under that battlefield. Old Lu. In mid-air, hundreds of battle elves who were waiting for the situation looked at the situation, and their faces changed. Hundreds of elves fell into the battlefield. At this time, the dragon suddenly cried out. You as the elves, are helping the bright sect to deal with me. Do you want to destroy our dark sect? I heard it for most of the time. What? Do the elves help the light faction? The people of the dark clique were hesitant to do anything. After hearing this, their eyes suddenly turned red. Well, you elves, it turned out that the Guangming faction sent us to attack us. Kill. Kill. I don't know who yelled, instantly adjusted the atmosphere of the field. Just rushed down the elves. There is no time to get out. It was besieged. On the other side. It seems that there is something fishy between the elves and the dark faction. We should take back the son of the light as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the elves turn over to the dark faction, our light faction will only be beaten. Then of course, another climax was triggered. This battle didn't seem to stop because of the arrival of the elves. On the contrary, it entered another climax. The battle elves with strong fighting power are far more destructive than those of the two factions. Boom! Bursts of explosion sound, accompanied by countless cries of killing. The sky was stained with blood red, the cracks on the ground began to increase, and the earth was shaking. Uzgui, who is on his way to the battlefield, is still far away from each other. They all feel that something is wrong. Come on, the seal has been shaken. Uzigi didn't care to wait for Nangong Yi, but he quickened his pace as soon as possible. Let's hurry up too. Nangong-yi didn't know the situation, but he also felt some danger. Demons. The whole sky of the demon clan is full of inexplicable thunder. The momentum is so strong that it seems that the next second will split the sky. Don't know the demons because of this movement and fear. But a part of the demons who vaguely feel something are very excited. It's from the seal of the demon clan. Someone's breaking the seal. Yifeng Mountain, the Devil Sect, the two factions were waiting for the coming challenge, and the staff were all in the arrangement. But I didn't expect to hear such movement in the sky. Some people are happy, others are worried. Just as the thunder in the sky became more and more intense, Yifeng Mountain's Ilao rushed to the gate of Juyo's mansion. With a notice, it said that the old man of Yifeng Mountain came to see Lord Juyo. The bare top of the mountain, because of his voice, filled with a layer of dark fog. Soon a mansion appeared. One of the attendants walked out of the gate and looked at Ilao. He said respectfully, "Before we leave, our adults say that if Elder Yifeng comes, we should talk to Elder Yifeng. There's no need to worry. Everything is doomed. Elder Yifeng just needs to go back and comfort the people in the mountain." On the way? Do you mean Lord Juyo is not here now? Ilao frowned and looked dignified. Juyo is the messenger of the demons. How can he not be here at this time? Boom. Another thunderous vibration came from the sky. Ilao's face is really not very good. I don't know where Lord Juyo is now. I'm really looking for something urgent. Seeing this, the servant shook his head indifferently. I'm sorry, we don't know the whereabouts of Lord Juyo. Old Man E remembered that when he got angry, another servant came out of the mansion with a little girl in his hand. When I saw the little girl, Ilao's eyes lit up. That son of darkness, isn't it? The old man quickly came forward and raised his wrinkled face, revealing the most kind smile of his life. Hello, little girl. Do you remember me? I'm the elder of Yifeng Mountain. Everyone calls me Ilao. Little fat girl's face was expressionless, but her eyes were round and bright. Looking at the old man in front of her, the little fat girl reached out and waved to him. You squat down. Tender voice, pink and soft, very pleasant. Ilao sees this, nature hastens down body, smile of close to front, little girl. But before he finished what he said, his white beard was caught by a small hand. Old man, have you seen my mother? Little fat girl's eyes are very watery and innocent, but her tone is too domineering. With the attendant beside her, looking at her this move, laughing and crying in the side to keep quiet. This little ancestor has been clamoring for his mother since he woke up. The whole mansion is about to be overturned by her. She had no choice but to run out after the boundary of the mansion was opened. Ouch, little ancestor, take it easy. It hurts. He cried out in pain, his face wrinkled. Little fat girl see this just frown of let go of small hand, but that glutinous tender voice but hegemony airway. You haven't answered me, you see my mother? Mom. Ilao is a little new to this word, but after all, he has lived for a long time. Depending on the situation, I guess he is looking for her mother. The cousin of Lord Juyo, he also met that day. Absolutely extraordinary. However, this is not the time to think about that. But Ilao rubbed his chin and thought for a while. Then he stared at the little girl in front of him and said, I don't know where your mother is, but I have a way to let her come out to you. Do you want to know? What can I do? Go with your grandfather. It won't be long before your mother will come to you. The little fat girl frowned and looked at him with vigilance on her beautiful little face. Come with you? Are you a bad person? Are you trying to cheat me? But he frowned lovingly, looking very sad. I didn't expect that I was such a bad old man in your heart. It's so sad. Cajoling. Of course, a little girl, even if smart, is still just a child. You're not sad at all. You don't even see your tears. Fat chick stares at him suspiciously. Ilao felt depressed. Who said that sadness means tears? But as an old man, he can't squeeze out tears. Well, I wanted to say that I would take you to my grandfather's place for fun and wait for your mother, by the way. It seems that you don't want to, little girl. In this case, I won't force you. Ilao said. And then he got up with a sigh. He turned around and opened his mouth to the attendant just now. Since Lord Juyo is no longer there, I'll leave first. Then, without waiting for the attendant to answer, he turned and walked out. The little fat girl was staring at him, her little brows frowning. As he walked, Ilao sighed again and said to himself, I can only play with the fireflies I collected from the deep valley. Fireflies? Fat girl smell speech. Eyes bright, a glimmer of desire flashed away from the fundus. In fairyland she played with little potato. But the little fat girl still didn't move. I've been waiting for a long time, but I haven't heard anything. I'm a little worried. How can this girl stand it? It seems that we are going to go further and further, and our steps are standing still. Finally, he took out his mace and said to himself in a loud voice, Oh, how can I forget that my apprentice saved the little guy named Little Potato, and just had a companion to play with? Little Potato 3 words, let little fat girl finally not too calm. Little fat hand fat feet quickly chased out of the door. Hello old man, you wait. However, as soon as she walked out of the door, the attendant who followed her quickly stopped her from going out. He was responsible for her safety and could not leave. What's the matter, little girl? Ilao turned around and looked at the little fat girl who was stopped by the servant with a smile. You just said Little Potato. Where is it now? Since she woke up, she has not seen it. She is very worried, but her mother said it was injured in the treatment, temporarily cannot come back. In my family, my apprentice is a pharmacist. He saved it. Ilao answered seriously. Then why don't you let it come back? I think it's over. Little fat girl said naively. Because it still needs healing, it can't leave for a while. Why don't you come back with me and have a look at it? It misses you too. Ilao is like a wolf with a big tail, luring him step by step. The 2 attendants frowned. Well, Elder E, Lord Juyo told me not to let the young lady leave here. That is to say, it's wrong for him to cheat like this. But he didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the little fat girl and laughed kindly. What's up? Are you going back with your grandfather? Don't worry, Grandpa is not a bad man. You saw him in the hall that day, didn't you? Little fat girl's perception of bad people as not bad people is actually quite vague. However, from the old man, she really didn't feel repulsive. In addition, she couldn't find her mother here, and the servants were very strange. After thinking about it, little fat girl decided to find Little Potato first. Old man, I'm going to find Potato, but you can't cheat me, or I'll be angry. She got angry, but it was serious. Hearing the words, Ilao was immediately happy and nodded. Believe me, I won't cheat you. With that, I went forward. But he was stopped by the attendant. Ilao, you can't take the young lady away from here without the order of Lord Juyo. I won't do anything to her. But he was determined to go forward. But the 2 attendants stood in front of him and looked at him coldly. No one can disobey your orders. I say you are too uninteresting. You see, other girls all say that they want to go back with me. You should respect other girls, shouldn't you? It's impossible for Ilao to fight with them. After all, this is Lord Juyo's territory. However, if Lord Juyo is not here, the Son of Darkness must take him back. Otherwise, there is really no one to stop the devil. No, please don't embarrass us. The attendants still did not yield. They only obey the orders of Lord Juyo. Seeing this, he frowned deeply. In such a stalemate, a tender voice broke. I'm going with this old man. Miss, I can't. Lord Juyo told me. She was in charge of her attendants and spoke quickly. But before he finished speaking, the little fat girl frowned. I don't care. I don't know any Juyo adults. My mother is not here. I'm going to get the Little Potato back. With that, she pushed aside her attendants and came to Elder E. Holding up his head, he stared at Ilao with big round eyes and said seriously, Old man, is the Little Potato really there? You can't lie to me. I didn't lie to you. Little Potato is really with me. If I lie to you, I'm a dog. Ilao squatted down and swore to the little fat girl. That appearance, just let little fat girl satisfaction nod. Then I'll go back with you. I'm looking for Potato. The little fat girl said with her hands around his neck. As soon as he was happy, he quickly picked her up. Elder E, you can't. The 2 attendants are calm when they see this. It's a pity that Lao's figure flashed. In the twinkling of an eye, he flashed a long distance. Looking at the two attendants, he said, "Two little brothers, I have no malice. When Lord Jiuyo comes back, you will report to Lord Jiuyo truthfully. I'm waiting for him in Yefeng Mountain." After that, without giving the two attendants a chance, they quickly disappeared on the mountain with little fat girl in their arms. What to do? Two attendants see this, the facial expression all exposed to put on flustered anxious. They never thought that the elder of Yifeng Mountain would dare to take people away in front of them. How can they tell Lord Jiuyo? And the other end of the demons. In the pink room, floating in midair, the little girl who has been keeping her eyes closed finally opens her eyes at this moment. However, a serious look, but can see that her eyes tired. The figure fell to the ground in midair and walked towards the door. And Jiuyo, who has been sitting in the hall, can't help but ask, "Is that okay?" "Almost. She'll be back soon." The tender voice is hoarse at this moment. "If you want to recover, you should cultivate yourself first. It's hard for you." Jiuyo looks at the little girl coming. It's easy to see the worry in her eyes. Born with a smile and shaking his head. "No, I can still hold on. This is the way you like the master. If the master can see more, he can see more. Once the seal of the demon clan is broken, I'm afraid that what will happen to it? If it can last a little longer, just a little longer." Jiuyo's face changed slightly. Looking at the Book of Heaven, another undercurrent flashed in the bottom of his eyes, and his fists clenched. Is there no other way? Tianshu came to him, automatically climbed on his lap, put his small head into his arms, and then said in a low voice, "No, the master should also feel it, and the fairyland is almost unable to support it." "I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you. Will it really disappear because of the seal? Hundreds of years of company, not overnight. Whether it's people or things, there will be feelings. I don't know." Tianshu shook his head, but his tone was weak. Nainu eyebrow deep lock, hand of embrace her. Let her can comfortable sit on his leg. "Master, may I ask you a question?" In the silent room, the Book of Heaven suddenly opens its mouth. Nainu slightly low-mow looked at it, then indifferent June face raised a touch of radiant smile. "I know why you want, but I also don't know the answer." Tianshu raised his young face, but his eyes looked at him wisely. "Really don't know the answer?" Smell speech. Nainu but a lung, the eye ground but involuntarily flash a silk dodge. Seeing this, the Book of Heaven raised a wry smile on his little face and came down from his arms. He said, "Although I'm just a Book of Heaven, I've been in this world for thousands of years. I also understand the so-called feelings in the world. Really, I understand." "Tianshu, you are still young." "Master, I've been a monster for thousands of years since I became self-conscious. What I look like now is just what you like in your heart. Why do you put me off?" At this point, after a turn and a light, it turned into a young girl of 18 or 19. That is a very beautiful, very refreshing, a pretty woman. When Jiuyo saw that, his body was shocked, and there was a short absence and undercurrent in his eyes. The grip of the hand deepened a little bit, as if trying to endure something. Tianshu naturally put his changes into his eyes, and the smile in his mouth was tinged with a trace of humanized bitterness. No matter how many years you have experienced, you still can't forget her. In this case, why do you have to be confined here? The seal of the demon clan is broken. Isn't it an opportunity for you? Tianshu looked at him and looked at him seriously. With that pair of familiar eyes that he has been deeply hidden in his heart, he can't avoid. Nainu smell speech, that clench of fist force all bone not as white. "No more." The cold voice of angry rebuke suddenly interrupted it. "Look up." That two-way to mild light eyes, stained with a trace of blood, forced to endure some kind of inner emotion. Staring at the Book of Heaven, he ordered coldly, "Come back, don't look at me like this." Although Tianshu has no heart, he still feels a pain in his heart. Yes, half a ring, she had the appearance of a little girl. Nainu at this time, that deep cold facial expression just restores past of indifferent, the whole body up and down all wear of indifferent. In the future, don't tell me that. You just need to do your duty well. Yes, I see. The Book of Heaven looked at him, but this time, it seemed that there was something strange. It's a pity. At this time of 9U, it seems that the mood was just affected, did not notice. Master, she's back. Suddenly, Tianshu suddenly turned his head and looked in the direction of the bedroom. At this time in the bedroom, I saw a strong white light covering the space. Even in the hall, I could feel the fluctuation brought by the strong light. 9U get up from the chair, restore the past temperature and light, step slowly ran toward the bedroom. Tianshu also turned back to a heartless and innocent little girl, and followed him to the bedroom. After a few seconds, the light faded away. When Jiuyo came to the bedroom, the light just disappeared. A small figure was pale, and half kneeling in a corner of the room in cold sweat. Cloud Dance has always been smart Star Eyes, but at this time is full of a burst of unspeakable pain. The whole body is full of a forbearance vicissitudes. This just a short time, let her see the whole life. A future that is extremely painful. A future that makes her shocked and heartbroken. Fate, that's the future fate arranged for her? Haha, great irony and resentment filled every corner of her heart. However, the pain in her heart reminded her that it would really happen even if the husband is gone. She should kill him, destroy her own children, and destroy the relatives and companions of the human world? Funny. It's a big joke. Destiny? That's the so-called destiny? God damn it, Cloud Dance half kneels on the ground. Star Eyes in the vicissitudes of life in the pain of turbidity. As if at this time she can't come back from the terrible future. Cold sweat is still straight out, wet her clothes. How's it going? At this time, the light voice of Jiuyo came. Hearing the sound, immersed in the pain of the Cloud Dance, like a reel back to God. Look up, Star Eye die a layer of ice cold look at him. The Book of Heaven let me go to the place, is the future? Yes, so that you can see clearly the future you are about to face. Jiuyo looks at her. Haha. Cloud Dance suddenly sneered, but there was a kind of anger in the smile. So you brought our mother and daughter back to your place just to imprison us? On the way to the future, she is full of sad fate, but what she really resents is Jiuyo, who is also a witch. The man who calls himself her cousin. If it wasn't for him, she would not have killed the man she loved, destroyed her children, and let her relatives and companions die in the hands of the demons. Everything is because of him. Jiuyo looks at her as if she wants to see something in her cold eyes. In the future, he doesn't know because he can't see. However, hearing her words, he seemed to understand what she saw. Junyi's gentle face slightly stained with a smile, but that smile is so bitter and lost. In the future, what can I do to make you so angry? Yunwoo slowly got up from the ground, clenched his fists. His eyes were red. He looked at him, clenched his fists, as if he was trying to endure something. You haven't answered my question. Is it true? Yes. Because that's the only way I can prevent the seal of the demon clan from being broken. And that's the responsibility of fate. What's more comfortable than saying it? For hundreds of years, he has gone step by step according to his destiny. Now isn't it? But why is he so excited when he hears her question? I don't want to understand or explore. Responsibility? What a responsibility. I didn't expect that the witch people really conform to the destiny. Looking at him, Cloud Dance suddenly sneers. With a smile, tears fell into my eyes. For the first time, she shed tears in front of such a stranger. Not sad, not angry, but sad for him. 9 You hear her that words, looking at her that sarcasm, looking at his facial expression. Only feel the heart have a burst of draw pain, but don't show for. You have read the Book of Heaven. Come back with me. Go back? Where to go? Will you go back to the prison you set for me? I can't go back, but you can. 9 You but stare at her, serious say this words. But what that meaning wants to express seems to be understood only in their own hearts. What do you want to do to me if I don't come back? Yunwoo looks at him. 9 You hook lips a smile, still looking at her. If I want to be a qualified guard messenger, I can only use force. Demon can't leave here. So you're going to take me back by force? Yunwoo looks at him. If I say yes. 9 paths. Then I can't do what you want. After all, I hate your destiny especially. I don't want to follow it at all. Don't you want to follow it? Do you think you can get rid of it? Jiuyo said with a smile. If I can't get rid of it, I'll completely destroy it. Anyway, if I want to die, I have to put it on the back. If I want to destroy it, I'll completely destroy it. With that, Yunwoo didn't stop, turned around and walked away towards the stone gate. The little girl's book of heaven stopped her and looked up at her quietly. Do you know how crazy those words you just said are? Yunwoo looked down at Tianshu, and a touch of sympathy and pity flashed in his eyes. Compared with madness, you are madder than me. Puzzling words. Let the book of heaven with 9 you did not understand. But Yunwoo was not interested in explaining anything. She passed her, and left towards the stone gate. Jiuyo didn't stop, just watched her leave. Master, you don't really want to imprison her, do you? Tianshu suddenly turned his head and looked at Jiuyo, and asked such a question. Jiuyo looked at her, but raised the corner of his mouth leisurely way. In this world, maybe only you know me. Why didn't you explain what she said just now? She seems to have misunderstood you. She didn't misunderstand me. Even now I don't think that way, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do to her. You're a letter from heaven. You know some things very well. Fate can't be changed just by changing. 9 You finish saying, pause for a moment, then continue away. The book of heaven, see her reaction, the future, seemed to be more sad than I imagined. If one day, I really become her eyes, will you also leave me? Master, you know very well that I can't leave you, or even this place. You know very well that the answer I want is not formulaic. Jiuyo looks at her. On the young face of the book of heaven, there flashed a steady undercurrent. Didn't the master just say that? I will abide by my duty, so the host won't want to know another answer. Don't you want to know? Hearing it answer like that, 9 You don't know why, feel the mouth of the heart slightly drew again. What's wrong with him? Not long ago, Mingming warned her, how can we get that answer from her now? Is it really because of too much desire? Think of this, 9 Quiet not bitter smile for a while. Okay, you first good spirit. The language falls also didn't give a day book to open mouth. The pace toward the door but go. The little girl left, watching his back. Sour and complex, gradually dyed her eyes, a smile in the corner of her mouth. If I can, I really don't want to be your burden. If I can, I'm willing to pay all the price to fulfill my wish for you. The voice of soliloquy reverberates coldly in this space. Light diffusion, lasting for a long time. Yifeng Mountain. The continuous mountains are connected all around, in the dark, but they still look so majestic. However, Yifeng Mountain is not very peaceful at this time. In addition to the loud sound of the sky from time to time, there was a movement, which seemed so abrupt. Where's the little potato? Old man, you lied to me. I want to go home. Little fat girl yells angrily, floating in the air, destroying all around. Damned old man. Said to let her come to find small potatoes, can come for most of the day, did not see the figure of potatoes. On the contrary, these annoying people have been nagging in her ears. Little ancestor, come down quickly. Elder brother Lu Jun has sent someone to bring little potato. Don't worry, don't fall down. Yes, don't smash it. It's our leader's favorite. Don't smash it. The disciples of Yifeng Mountain were all around a side hall at this time. They were so anxious. The reason for this, of course, is that little fat girl floating in the air in a rage. It is also the son of darkness. They invited back from Yifeng Mountain. It's not that they can't stop her, but Elder Yi has told her not to touch her or disobey her. Not long after he left, the little ancestor began to make a big noise. No matter how to persuade, in the end, they began to smash things. This little boy has such a big temper. But every disciple on the scene, but also can endure, hurriedly around, repeatedly coax. By the way, we'll see if we can save some of her stuff. You are all bad guys. That old man is also a bad guy. He said that he would bring me to find little potato, but he lied to me. If he didn't release little potato, I would smash his things. Little fat girl doesn't know the situation, but she has a good temper. Anyway, it's all bad guys who cheat her. Set the hands of the jade screen off. Bang. It's another piece of ground. The disciples around are full of flesh pain. That's the favorite of their leader. Granny, don't smash it anymore. Elder Marshal Brother Lu Jun will come back soon. It's impossible for a fat girl to cooperate. She's flying here and there. She's not free for a moment. In the wailing sound, a figure in a hurry ran in from the door. Yip yip, is old man here? Suddenly hearing the sound, the people in the hall naturally stopped and looked at the man together. Why is oldie out? Someone's breaking into the mountain. He's at the gate of Zhengwu. What? If someone rushes into the mountain, why don't you go to the front hall and report it to the leader? For a moment, originally around the little fat girl's disciples, a large number of people were in a hurry to go out. Only a few of them were left behind, and the little fat girl in the wild was totally helpless. The little fat girl's eyes lit up when she heard someone rushing into the mountain. In the twinkling of an eye, that petite small body, brush of a remnant shadow passed by. In the twinkling of an eye disappeared in the hall. People. Ah, come on, the granny ran away again. The remaining disciples were still worried about the news they had just heard. Unexpectedly, little fat girl gave them such a good head. After a while they were too busy to use force. At the foot of a move, the figure also disappeared in the same place, straight after the direction of the little fat girl. Yifeng Mountain Gate. Dozens of disciples fell to the ground. Their faces were not very good. While the disciples who were driven out of the mountain gate looked at the people coming outside the mountain gate with solemn faces. Lord, what do you mean? This is our Yifeng Mountain. Are you going too far? No one else came. It was the master of the demon sect who brought dozens of people with him. He was not weak at all. As soon as he made a move, he hurt the gatekeeper of Yifeng Mountain. Hand over the son of darkness, otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. One of the disciples beside the master spoke coldly. It seems that their goal is fat girl. Yifeng Mountain disciples smell speech. Eyes are obviously hard to sink, defensive posture. You don't go too far, we elder will come right away. Haha, that old man? I'm drinking tea in my demon sect now. Okay, don't give me any nonsense. Just say it and hand over the son of darkness at once. What? Lao is in the devil's sect? After hearing that, the disciples of Yifeng Mountain were obviously moved. You. But at this time, a cry came from a distance. Little ancestor, don't go, come back quickly. Who? A gust of wind suddenly appeared on the top of people's heads. The little fat girl frowned at the devil. I thought my mother was coming. It turned out that she was a villain again. There are some dissatisfaction and some grievances. Where has Mom gone? Why haven't you come to her yet? The dead old man clearly said that he would bring her to find little potato. And his mother would come here to find her too. Why hasn't he come yet? It seems that people are not what they are looking for. The little fat girl pouts her lips and plans to go back to smash things. But she didn't know how much influence her appearance had on the two sides who were already fighting. At the moment when the demon lord saw the little fat girl, a surprise flashed through her strange black eyes. Almost in the little fat girl is going to turn away that second. His action is very fast. Jump up. Next second. For example, the big hand of tongs has grasped the little body of little fat girl tightly. It's so fast that there's no chance for the people of Yifeng Mountain to react. Ah, villain. The fat chick screamed in pain. People in Yifeng Mountain suddenly changed their faces. Lord, let her go quickly. Seeing this, the disciples of Yifeng Mountain quickly cheered. One by one, they quickly came forward and wanted to get the little fat girl back from the master. But the lord of the demon sect caught all the people in his hand. How could he let them snatch them back? At the moment when I saw the disciples of Yifeng Mountain coming forward, a strong dark breath suddenly swept out and directly knocked several disciples away. Then he hugged the little fat girl tightly and turned around to leave. Bad guy, let me go. Little fat girl's face wrinkled, trying to struggle, but found that her strength was imprisoned by him. However, the demon lord did not have time to leave, because a tall figure appeared in the air and blocked his way. Handsome appearance, tall posture, a gray robe. Looks like a man full of fairy spirit. When the demon lord saw the man, his eyebrows frowned and his eyes fell with a cold. Leader E, didn't you say that you wouldn't come out of the mountain if you didn't disturb your mountain Yifeng? Are you going to break your oath? The leader of Yifeng Mountain, just because he made the vow that year, is generally in charge of the outside world. I didn't expect that today's leader appeared in person. This, however, surprised the people of the demon sect. The headmaster E smiles politely, but his smile doesn't reach the bottom of his eyes. His eyes are sharp and he looks at the master of the demon clan. Master of the demon clan, if you take her away, you will not know that it is Yifeng Mountain, but the whole demon clan. Do you want me to go out of the mountain? You mean against me? The master's eyes sank. But the headmaster, with a smile on his lips, was still gentle. It's not that I'm against you, it's that you're against me. For the sake of that year, if you put the child back, I can forget that you brought people to my house today to hurt many of my disciples. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Listening to that too gentle voice, the demon lord's face was obviously a little cold. Not only don't let go, but more force. The pain makes little fat girl wave her claws furiously. Villain, kill you. Unfortunately, the power of her little paw was not enough for the demon lord. She didn't even give her a look. On the contrary, he was strict because of the leader's words. Okay, I'll see how the leader will be rude to me. Language falls, a remnant shadow jumps up in the air and goes out. When the headmaster saw this, his eyes finally sank. As soon as his figure moved, he disappeared in the same place. Seeing this, the disciples of the demon sect immediately followed him. How could the disciples of Yifeng Mountain show weakness in this way? Many of the disciples who just arrived also rushed after them. All the way straight after, but also only to see a black and a gray two figures, in the speed of light and shadow intertwined impact. Those disciples really can't see the specific attack. However, with the fight between the two sides, the energy fluctuation in the air is more and more intense, accompanied by the thunder in the sky. The fight between the leaders of the two factions was so fierce and dangerous. When Yunwu came, it was just like that. Two rays of light, actually in the dark sky in a flash of a collision. The speed is extremely fast, almost even Cloud Dance can't see clearly. Don't ask her how to see the two shadows in the dark, anyway, she saw them. Besides, I saw her daughter. Fat girl. Damn it, they fight each other. Why did they take her daughter with them? During the period when many disciples couldn't get in, the Cloud Dance came with cold and fierce anger. At the moment when the figure jumped up in the air, he directly entered the two fierce battlefields. In the air, after the strong participation of the third party, there was a huge crash. Then, I saw three figures flying out under the impact of the aftershock of that force. Mom. Little fat girl was dazzled by that force, but she saw her mother at the first sight. During the period of being held by the demon lord, he was surprised and yelled. After hearing the words, the evil lord looked at the woman who suddenly intruded, and was attacked by the force. That is the woman I saw in Juyo Mansion that day. Yunwu. You are the cousin of Lord Juyo. I hope you don't take part in it. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless if you hurt me. Compared with the evil lord's Inli, the leader of that he was quite interested in watching the Cloud Dance. The breath of human beings. It seems that she should be the intruder who made the demons move. The child is her, you want her not to participate in it. Isn't the demon lord a little ridiculous? Leader E said with a smile. This made the demon lord angry and gave him a cold stare. As a demon, can't you think about it for the demon? This is not a time for internal strife. Haha, it seems that the lord of the devil is joking. Don't we always do this? You. The evil lord's face turned black when Leader E broke down. I don't want to participate in your demons, but if you want to take my children as chips, don't blame me for being rude. It seems that Yunwu's aura has become too cold. Seeing the future, there are a lot of things in her eyes at this time. It seems to be restaged, especially when she sees the history repeating itself. That kind of mood is really beyond other people's understanding. She would never let history repeat itself, never. Her children can never repeat the tragedy of the future. Mom. The little fat girl struggled to get rid of the master. But the lord of the demon clan held on harder and harder. Cloud Dance's face is gloomy, and he stares at him with squinting eyes. Master of evil, You'd better let go, otherwise you will regret it. When he heard Yunwu's words, the lord of the demon clan laughed as if he had heard a big joke. Regret? Haha, you think you are Jiuyo's cousin. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Haha. Ironic laughter, with incomparable irony. But did not think Cloud Dance can say such words, how can just say it? It's estimated that even Jiuyo doesn't know. Yunwu not only sees the future of Tianshu, but also knows the way of the last awakening of her blood witch saint. To be honest, if not for the future brought by the Book of Heaven, she may not be able to awaken before the tragedy. Witch saint? Cloud Dance disdains, but it needs the real power of the witch saint. Therefore, in order to achieve her goal, she will not hesitate to start. A shadow flying away. Seeing this, the master of the demon sect laughed and looked at her with disdain. He wanted to see how she would regret him. But did not think, the next second, his disdain expression is stiff in the face. His eyes were wide open, and he looked at the figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The corner of his mouth was flushed with blood. With his face full of panic, he looked so thrilled. Difficult to open his mouth, but only spit out a word, the words behind it with the same card in the throat. Slowly Chuehu head. Pupil seems to protrude out of a look, the road into his chest of small hands. Yes, a hand just like that through his heart. He never thought that would happen. Cloud Dance for his panic, but it seems so indifferent, warm hands beating touch, did not cause her pity and sympathy. Because if you want to awaken the power of the witch saint for the last time, you need to sacrifice. Sacrifice to awaken the last seal. Originally, the power of the witch saint is pure, so it is not right to sacrifice to awaken. But Cloud Dance is special. Because in her power, there is the power of darkness, the power of demons. If it wasn't for this, I'm afraid her last awakening would have awakened long ago. And it would not have been until now. And the last sacrifice is the need for the demons. How ridiculous. If not, she inadvertently entered the demon clan, and saw the future brought by the Book of Heaven. She is only afraid that she will understand that her blood is special until the end. She can only use a special method to wake up and seal for the last time. The reason why the power of evil bite in her body disappears after giving birth to a child is not absorbed by the child, but precipitated. Precipitation in the body, just like the strength of her body, are waiting for the last sprint. Her body contains, waiting for an opportunity to awaken the last seal. Once she gets that chance, the power of evil bite in her body will awaken again. And the final seal of the witch clan will be broken. She will become a real witch saint, but she is totally different from the saint of all ages. Lord! Lord! Just at this time, the demon sect disciple who followed him changed his face and cried out in horror. This scene also shocked the disciples of Yifeng Mountain. That woman, how could she? Demons? The body is not casually human can erase, not to mention, is a hand inserted in the chest. Cloud Dance turned a deaf ear to this. But in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the demon lord's horror, he pulled his heart out of his chest. The stench of blood, splashing out. A few drops of blood splashed on her cheek, with a hint of madness. But Yunwu didn't even wipe it. After seizing the heart, it was crushed. A sharp scream, in the heart of the broken moment, pierced the air. It's very harsh, it's very noble. Before the reaction, Yunwu brought the little fat girl into her arms. As for the blood in her hands and the broken heart, I left it behind. At that moment, Yunwu felt some sudden force in her body collide. Close your eyes, he whispered to his daughter in his arms. Chubby girl heard, very clever, closed his eyes. Chubby hand tightly grasped her clothes. Very clever. Cloud Dance did not hesitate, with the fastest speed, directly toward the direction of Jiuyo Mansion. As for the people behind her, she had no time to estimate. The body of the demon lord, at the moment when his heart was crushed, fell directly from the air with the broken kite. The headmaster looked at him from the beginning to the end, and the shock in his eyes was self-evident. However, compared with the shock of the disciples of the demon sect, he was more indifferent. Zhang leader, what now? Chase or not? In response, the disciple of Yifeng Mountain stammered and trembled and asked his leader. Although the dead are the masters of the demon clan, They are also the people of the demon clan. It's hard to calm down after being directly killed by people in the human world. Chasing? Hee. Who do you think is going to catch up with her? The headmaster suddenly opened his mouth with a smile. Eyes have been sending this cloud dance figure to leave the direction. More than a trace of meditation. The disciples of Yifeng Mountain were silent. Yes, even the master of the demon sect has been wiped out. Who can stop them? Is that all? Yes, didn't the Lord just ask our elder to have tea? Come with me to the demon sect. Send the Lord back. And take Eldery back by the way. That is to say, they not only don't chase, but also send the corpse of the demon lord back to the demon clan. In this way, isn't it necessary to aim at Yifeng Mountain? All the disciples of Yifeng Mountain can't understand their leader's thoughts, but what else can they say if the leader says that? However, compared with the calm discussion of Yifeng Mountain, the disciples of the demon sect were flustered. What could be more important than the killing of the patriarch? But in the end, they didn't go after them. After all, with dozens of their disciples, they were not sure they could get revenge. It seems that we have to go back to Zongmen to move soldiers. Cloud dances crazy speed to rush back to the 9U mansion, the body that is about to break through the power, pain incomparable torture her. But she didn't go to a safe place, and her daughter didn't dare to break through without security. In the demon clan, the only place she can go is Jiyuna. Even though he knew that his purpose was to imprison them and prevent the seal from being broken. But she killed the Lord of the Devil, and it can't go on like that. The seal is bound to break. She must leave here. Her daughter can't take over Juyo's class. She can't at the gate of Juyo Mansion. As soon as the cloud dance landed, the black fog appeared and the mansion was exposed. Where have you been? Juyo's faint voice came out from the mansion, and then his figure appeared at the door. Cloud dance but in see his that moment, figure a flash but go. Take care of her for me. As soon as the words fell, the little fat girl put it in his arms. Then the shadow passed, her figure had disappeared in the mansion. Just after the cloud dance disappeared for a while, there was a cry of pain in a corner of the mansion. A different demon aura, but similar to the power of the demon aura, instantly emanated from the corner. Soon the whole mansion was enveloped by that force. Juyo, who is still standing at the gate of the mansion, feels the power and his face changes on the spot. He seems happy but surprised, the last awakening of the sorcerer's saint. Bitter smile light dyed his mouth, eyes inexplicably dark down. Why not wait? Unfortunately, his voice to himself, but no one can understand. When the little fat girl sensed the power, her mood was obviously floating, as if something wanted to break out of her body. However, because she was worried about her mother, she could only suppress her. As for Juyo's self-talk, she didn't understand. It's half a ring. Juyo just hugged her and walked slowly towards the mansion. On the other side, such as the magma area within the Devil Magic Company, the vice lord of the demon sect, almost failed to stir up a fury on the spot when he heard the news that the lord of the demon sect had been killed. Where are the people now? It's just outside the door of the clan. It's the headmaster who sent back the leader's body. He also said that he wanted to take back the old man. The voice of the demon sect disciple who came to repay him trembled, not only because of the news that their patriarch was killed, but also because of the fury of the deputy patriarch in front of them. I'm afraid that one will be obliterated by his anger. Even the devil's eyes were red with anger, and the breath of fury surrounded him. What are you doing? Hurry to gather all the disciples in the sect for me. The devil company, who roared at the disciple, immediately went to the door of the sect. How powerful is the demon lord? Who doesn't know the whole demon clan? But now he's killed. It seems that the leader of Yifeng Mountain is powerful again. Now they are even demonstrating and sending them to the door in person. At this time, when would it be better not to gather the disciples of the sect? In an instant, the whole demon clan began to set off waves of turbulence. Hundreds of disciples are rushing towards the gate of the sect. They are so fierce. Outside the door of the demon clan, the leader of Yifeng Mountain, who is leading 10 disciples of Yifeng Mountain, stands not far away from the door with both hands. He has a gentle smile on his handsome face. The gentle and peaceful atmosphere made him look so out of place. However, no one ever dared to underestimate him, because he is the youngest leader of Yifeng Mountain in all ages, and also a rumor among the demons. If it wasn't for his oath, if nothing happened to Yifeng Mountain, he would not go out of the mountain gate. I'm afraid there is nothing wrong with the demon sect now. But today, the leader who hasn't been out of the mountain gate for 100 years has killed the lord of the demon clan as soon as he left the mountain. Well, I'll kill you, and I'll send back the body myself. This is not in the red. Naked one naked face to the devil. I'm afraid no one can calm down. Headmaster, it seems that the demon clan is gathering people and horses. Shall we go back and gather them as well? One of the disciples of Yifeng Mountain, hearing the movement in the demon sect, couldn't help asking the leader. Although I know the power of my leader, it would be hard for them to fight against the disciples of the whole demon clan. No, we're not here to fight with them. We're here to pick them up. The headmaster said with a smile. But what if they don't want to send the elder out? Depending on the situation, we can see that it is absolutely impossible to win people's support. Don't worry. But the headmaster didn't say that. He was smiling at the gate of the demon sect. Although the disciple of Yifeng Mountain was worried, he could not say anything at this time. All of a sudden, bursts of footsteps and the roar of many people came from the demon clan. After a while, inside the gate of the whole demon sect, we saw a lot of disciples coming. That number, not tens of thousands, also has 7,000. It seems that the magic company really called all the disciples together, or in such a short time. Leader long time no see. In the dense group of disciples, a magic company in black robes came out slowly. But I don't know if I care about it or not. I didn't come out too much. The headmaster looked at the magic company, smiling politely and nodding his head. He said hello as if he had seen an old friend. Deputy Lord, long time no see. I just heard that the headmaster came to deliver the body of our patriarch. Magic even narrowed eyes of ask away. But from it, we can hear the forbearance in his words. But Leader seemed to nod his head and waved to the disciples, asking them to lift the corpse of the Lord. Today, I'm here to send back the demon lord. By the way, I want to bring back the elder of Yifeng Mountain. However, many of the disciples in the demon clan changed their faces as soon as they saw the corpse of the demon clan leader. The face of Magic even more ugly. Lord! Many disciples could not help but wail, among which the fierce anger was more intense. Magic even more like a heart stuck in a breath, angrily staring at the leader. You killed our patriarch, but also want to take that old man back. Is not the leader too much? Who said I killed the demon lord? The body of our patriarch is in your hands. You said you didn't kill him. When many of the disciples of the demon sect were about to stir up, the headmaster frowned and said with a smile, "It seems that I've done something wrong with a good heart. It's not your disciples who are following me here. You can ask them." As soon as these words came out, it seemed that many of the disciples of the demon sect really noticed their fellow disciples. What's going on? Say Magic even eyes sweep those disciples angry. At this time, the disciples who came back with them seemed to react. Deputy Lord, it's the man from the outside who killed the Lord. Yes, it's the human who sneaked into our demon clan. The woman who was taken away by the Lord Juyo. Yes, that woman didn't know how to do it. She took out the master's heart, and then... I can't seem to say the following. But as a demon he knows how to kill the demon. To be clear, why did the patriarch fight that woman? Are you all staring at each other? Even the demons couldn't understand that they couldn't fight a lowly human with their status and strength. In the end he was killed. What a shame it is for the demons. Deputy Lord, it's not that we didn't fight, but that our Lord was fighting with Leader at that time. The human woman came out of nowhere, and she took the opportunity to step in and attack the Lord secretly. Yes, it was the woman who killed the patriarch when she attacked. The dozens of demon disciples who came back immediately agreed. At present, the atmosphere around is not quite right. Geo Mansion. When that power gradually subsided, The whole complex was closed again. Juyo with little fat girl, quietly waiting for Cloud Dance in the hall. When Yunwoo appeared, the maids and servants waiting in the hall could not help but take a breath. Eyes some stick in the thin figure, can't move. Good, beautiful, yes. Yunwoo's beautiful appearance at this moment seems to be covered with a layer of brilliance, a kind of light that makes people crazy. It's clear that nothing has changed in the facial features, but it can make people feel that the earth-shaking changes have taken place. Everyone, no matter men or women, at the moment when they see her, their eyes seem to stick to her. That kind of heart-beating feeling happened to everyone who saw her for the first time. Both men and women. That kind of feeling can only be understood by seeing it with one's own eyes. It can't be expressed in words. Even Juyo, at the moment of seeing her, was stunned. Mom, you have become so beautiful. Little fat girl's tender and joyful voice broke the strange atmosphere of silence. Small body, after jumping off the stool, quickly ran to the Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance squats down to take her flying, and holds her up without any difficulty. She looks at her daughter tenderly. Did you get hurt just now? The little fat girl shook her head and said wisely, No, I'm very good. I won't hurt myself. Mom doesn't have to worry. Cloud Dance's warm smile rubbed her little head. Later, can't follow others, and no matter when. You have to protect yourself first. Do you know? The little fat girl nodded with a smile, seeing that his daughter was not hurt. Yunwoo raised her head and looked at Juyo sitting on the throne. Now is it time to talk about our problems? Juyo has returned to her normal indifference. Junyi looks at her calmly on her face and says, You say. I want to break the seal. You should be very clear about the meaning of my existence. As long as I exist, it is impossible for you to do so. Nine, you still very insipid say. But Yunwoo frowned, and his voice was low. Do you really want me to kill you? Don't you have the ability now? If you can, I hope you can end my long life, Juyo said with a smile. But after watching the Cloud Dance of his life, I feel sad when I hear his words. Although he caused her tragedy, he also had his tragedy. If we want to say the culprit, we can only say that the so-called sorcerer and the so-called Protoss. Why should one's fate be in the hands of those so-called Protoss? Why can they arrange people's life and decide their life and death at will? Is it because they created human beings? But human beings are not animals or puppets. When they create independent human beings, they should be given the right to choose freely. Why do you want to control human beings like puppets? Don't the Protoss want the demons to break the seal? Aren't you afraid of demons? Okay, then she will let the demons see the light again. She's not a puppet. Never be a puppet of the Protoss perhaps. Her idea is very crazy, but her life is not in the madness? Well, that's what you said. I'll make it up to you. Cloud Dance hook lip a smile but not to the eye. No, Lord Juyo was killed. Lord Juyo was killed. All of a sudden, a series of panic shouts were raised in Juyo Mansion. Then, the border that originally shrouded around the mansion seemed to be suddenly broken because of the death of Juyo. The whole mansion was exposed to the Bear Mountain. With the disappearance of the border, many servants and maids in the mansion rushed out with the exclamation that Lord Juyo had been killed. Panic around, as if afraid of being chased. Bang bang. All of a sudden, bursts of huge explosions instantly resounded through the mountain sky. In the dark, there was a huge fire. Extremely dazzling. Guardian, the mansion of Lord Juyo. Is it on fire? The mansion on the peak between the two factions can be seen clearly by the two factions. Isn't that the residence of Lord Juyo? Why is it on fire? Yes, there seems to be an explosion. What's the matter? Come on, go and have a look. In an instant, the two factions of the whole demon clan were boiling up because of this movement. No matter it's from the demon clan or from the Yifeng Mountain, they all go in the direction of the fire. Even at this time, thousands of people gathered at the gate of the demon sect stopped their murderous spirit because of this movement. What's the matter? It's on fire. It's like the direction of Juyo's mansion. It's not like that, but that's the location of Juyo family. It's dark all around the demons. A little fire can make them look dazzling. Even though they are far apart, they can still see clearly. The headmaster E, who was opposite to the devil sect, frowned suddenly when he saw the direction of the fire. Jiuyo accident can represent the real turmoil of the demons. Yifeng Mountain does not advocate war, let alone the peaceful faction that broke the seal. If the demons are really in turmoil, it will be the most difficult for them to survive. Headmaster, it seems to be the home of Lord Jiuyo. After hearing what the disciple said, the leader no longer stayed. Before he turned around, he just told one of the disciples, "Take some disciples from behind the demon sect. The disciples should rescue Elder E and have him escorted back." Yes, the disciple nodded his head. Then his figure jumped up in the air and disappeared in the dark. Seeing this, the devil of the demon sect didn't even care about the corpse of the Lord. He told his disciples to deal with the affairs of the Lord, and he quickly chased after him. After all, the reason why the demons can keep the current balance is precisely because of the existence of the world-guarding envoys. If there is something wrong with the guard, it means that it is time for him to set off the evil sect. That's a big deal. At this time, the leaders of the two schools are heading for the Jiuyo mansion with the fastest speed. The closer you get, the more people will come from all directions. Naturally, the purpose is the same. All want to make sure what is the situation of Jiuyo. Once it's confirmed that Jiuyo is dead, I'm afraid the scuffle starts from there. At this time, a slender figure stands at the door of Jiuyo Mansion. Her figure, as if connected with the fire, but not affected by the tongue of fire. And in the arms of that slender figure, there is a little girl. One big and one small, looks like some, but each has its own strange beauty. In such a dazzling fire, the two figures are so depressed and mysterious. One after another, the demons came in a hurry. Before they got close, they were shocked by the two figures standing against the fire. Almost everyone's eyes were glued to the slender woman when they saw the figure. If the beauty in front of Jiuyo before Cloud Dance is glorious and sacred, then now she is extremely beautiful and monstrous, crazy and demonic. The fire not only did not win half a silk of light from her, but set off her demon. Who is she? What a charming woman. How come I haven't heard of such a beautiful woman in the demons before? Yes, I've never heard of it, but she appears in the territory of Lord Jiuyo. Is she the woman of Lord Jiuyo? It's possible. It's impossible. Lord Jiuyo is an emissary of guarding the world. You can't marry a woman of the demons. You don't know that. Yes, but who is the beauty? The child she is holding is also very good. Fat man, put your saliva away. Don't scare people. It seems that the first group of demons only dare to look around in the distance of the fire. In fact, it is also because not everyone can set foot in the territory of the envoys guarding the boundary. But there are more people and more rumors. Even the demons are no exception. Not for a while. I don't know who said it first. Hey, have you heard that Lord Jiuyo is dead? What? Are you kidding? Who killed Lord Jiuyo? That is, if Lord Jiuyo is so easy to be killed, we demons still need to stay in this ghost place. Impossible. It's true. I just heard that the servant who escaped from Lord Jiuyo's house said that Lord Jiuyo was killed. Killed? Who killed it? Really dead? Who killed Lord Jiuyo? The audience, who were still gossiping, heard the news that Jiuyo had been killed, and the atmosphere was obviously different. There's excitement, there's dignity, there's complexity, but more people are curious about who killed the demon's guardian, who in the end has the ability. This is the key. But it is clear that this answer has not been spread. Mom, it's a little hot here. When the people around were chattering, the little fat girl finally looked up at her mother and said, "The pink forehead is dripping with sweat." Cloud Dance looked down and found that he was careless. After her awakening, the power of the elements in her body also came back. She manipulated the fire elements to burn the mansion. There was no discomfort for her. But for her daughter with dark constitution, it must be uncomfortable. Sorry baby, I forgot. To anyone can be cruel, only their own daughter is a gentle. Cloud Dance said at the same time. It aroused an element body shrouded in her body, separated behind the heat of the fire. In fact, it's not that Yunwu doesn't leave, it's that this is the place to break the seal. Yes. The place where Juyo now lives is exactly the position of the elves in the fairyland. If you want to break the seal of the demons, you can only start here. She can't do it alone. So she's waiting. All the people who should come are here. At this time, the fairyland has already been the smoke of war all around. Especially when the elves joined, not only did not stop, but also destroyed many places. The consequences were far more serious than ordinary people. However, at this time neither the dark faction nor the light faction gave the elves a chance to leave. This war became a mixed water war. The reason for starting the war is confused, but both factions are at the same time tacit understanding of the rise of war. From this we can see that this is actually a war sooner or later. However, due to the catalysis of some people, it is only early. It's almost there. The communication between dragon and evil spirit is still a silent transmission. The two emperors up to now have never played. But the war continues to fight endlessly soon. Charming voice, some excited, but also some expectations. Dragon Qing evil hook lips smile. Handsome evil face, more a trace of madness. With you to witness this grand occasion, quite interesting. Haha, it's the same with each other. I seem to feel her, she is very close to me. The leap of Dragon's evil heart, with a certain feeling, is joyful. Not only that, but also the young master in his arms seemed to feel something. His eyes were bright, and he didn't know if he was talking about it. The evil spirit smell speech, slightly lift mouth to the somewhere in mid-air to see one eye. Good half ring, just way. She is in the seal mouth of the demon clan, you and her, just separated by a seal border. Yeah. When Dragon Qingxia thought of Cloud Dance, he felt a touch of tenderness in his heart, and the coldness on his face seemed to increase a sense of warmth. She will definitely come back to see him and her son. Even if she can't come back, he will certainly pick her up in person. But I really want to feel someone coming, like Yuzi Gue. All of a sudden, the voice of enchantment rings out. Yuzi Gui? The original tenderness, hear the words of the charm, face suddenly a stiff. How can it be? That day, he watched with his own eyes as he danced into the crack of the seal. How could he, however, when I really saw the figure of Yuzi Gue na road? The eyebrows of Dragon Qingxia shrank deeply. It's really him. How did he come back from the demons? He came back, the Cloud Dance Dragon Qing evil anxious line of sight. Straight sweep Jade Sun to return the direction behind. However, until Yuzigi got close to the battlefield and stood on the territory of Guangming faction, there was still no Cloud Dancing. She didn't come back. Long Qingxia frowned deeply and looked gloomy. And she. All of a sudden, a gloomy voice from the air resounded through the whole battlefield, and spread to the Guangming faction. As soon as Yuzi Gui landed, he heard the sound of flying down before he spoke to stop the war. He knew that the sound was Dragon's evil. However, he did not know how to answer this question, because this time he came back by himself, but he left Yunwu in the demon clan. Seeing that Yuzigi didn't answer, Long Qingxia's face was even darker, because we can see the meaning from here. Yuzigi, come here for me. Yes, the sound of Dragon Qingxia once again sounded on the battlefield. However, compared with the just gloomy, this time more with some kind of fury. Yuzigi heard the sound, looked at the direction of the dark faction, sighed, and his voice spread. Please pause first. I have something to say. Pause again? The elves had been stopped before. It was not only useless, but more fierce. Now there's another one, and a pause? Of course, at this time, when the battlefield is in a more chaotic situation, how can it be said that the pause is just a pause? What's more, the current dragon and evil spirits are not allowed to stop the war. No one can stop until the Son of Darkness is taken back. No one can stop until the Son of Light is taken back. At the same time, the two voices of tacit understanding spread throughout the battlefield. Under two voices, people on the battlefield can't stop. Yuzigi's face changed and he couldn't believe it. He probably had guessed the purpose of the charm. However, he didn't expect that the evil spirit was so hateful that he wanted to destroy the fairyland. As soon as the figure jumped up, he went in the direction of magic. At the same time, it was also the place where the elder disciples of Yuguishan gathered. Lord! The Lord is back. Yuzi Gishin's disciples, in the arrival of Yuzi Goishan, immediately set off a burst of excitement. Even the old men. "Lord, where have you been? Why are you here now?" "Lord." When the elder of Yuguishin asked his disciples, Yuzi didn't pay much attention to it, but went directly to the enchantment. The charm stands on a huge stone and looks down on him. There was not too much emotion on that cool and handsome face. "You're back." This sentence is strange. But Yuzigi understood what that meant. Even if you hate it, you shouldn't make fun of the whole fairyland. Do you know the consequences of doing so? The complexity of Yuzigi's face was unprecedented. But when she hears the words, she smiles and says, "Are you kidding? What's the joke? I can't understand what master you said. Am I not the Ming Emperor of Guangpai? For the sake of the future of Guangming faction, I come to recover Guangming's son. Shouldn't this be the responsibility of the emperor?" "It's perfect." But Yuzigi's face became more and more dignified. He looked up at him and said seriously, "Listen to my advice, let this war stop, don't be stubborn." "Haha, what is master you talking about? I don't understand." Charming smile words. All around the people can hear very clearly. Similarly, the people around didn't understand what the Jade Master meant. "If you are so stubborn, don't blame me for being rude. I don't know if Master Yu is going to be rude to the Emperor." Smile instead of anger. When Yuzi's eyes sank, his figure jumped up in the air and went away. Now it's Mei who listens to the order. In order to stop him, we have to take him down. However, Yuzigi seems to have forgotten that if he wants to win the charm before changing it, it's no problem. But since the last time, his inner alchemy has been taken away by the night. Without Niden, he is the opponent of the charm. See, in the fight of a few moves, Jade Sun Return was defeated. This scene surprised some of Yu Gishin's disciples and elders. What's going on? How could their patriarch, Master Yu, don't try to be brave. If you don't have Niden, don't show up here, otherwise it will affect you. But it's not good. Charming words, not big or small, but just right. The people in Yuguishin and many people around them heard very clearly, and were extremely surprised. Niden's gone? The master of Yuguishin is gone? Does this mean that Yuzigi will not be able to be the leader of Guangming faction in the future? The elder of Yuguishin leaped forward and looked at the evil spirit coldly. Now is not the time for internal strife. The opponent of the Ming Emperor should be the Dark Emperor. That means he shouldn't fight with Yuzigi. But the charm smells speech, but gaga of smile. Laughter is very big, also very strange. When the laughter converged, the cold black eyes sank down and swept straight to them. In this sentence, you should ask your master, his inner elixir, but he gave it to the demons. If not, would the seal of that town fluctuate some time ago? What? Some time ago. The fluctuation of seal was due to the Jade Lord? And give Niden to the demons? How can, however, with Yuzigi's strength, if he didn't voluntarily take out the inner elixir? Who could take out his inner elixir by force? Is it true what Emperor Ming said? At that moment, many eyes fell on Yuzigi, and he seemed to want to hear his denial or answer. Absolutely impossible. Our patriarch will not be with that demon clan. Emperor Ming, don't stir up the morale of the army here. That is, it's absolutely impossible for our patriarch to give Niden to any demon. It's absolutely impossible. Yuguishin people one by one quickly denied, full of complete trust in their minds of the patriarch. However, the enchantment looked at Yuzigi with a smile. Master Yu, tell your disciples about it yourself. Am I wrong? Did you give your inner Dan to the demon called Night? The seal will be cracked. Is it because of you, Niden? At this moment, more eyes are gathered. More to Yuzi. Yuzigi wanted to deny it, because at this time, once he admitted it, everything would be irreparable. However, even if he wanted to deny rationally, he could not violate his bottom line. Although he did it for Cloud Dance. However, Nathan, he handed it in himself, and it was also because of his Nathan that the seal was almost forced to open. He could not deny that. Master Yu, do you dare not admit it? The charm continues to say with a smile. I did take out Niden by myself, and I caused some disturbance because of Niden, but I didn't give it to anyone. Yuzigi's voice was heard by everyone present. Although the meaning of his words was very clear, it still showed that Naiden was really taken out by him. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.